just start the stream on YouTube. I always forget to do that.
That's okay.
Let me just make sure that it goes. There we go. I think we're good. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Logos Triumphant, episode 16. Wow. We're almost at 20. My goal is to get at least 50. I think hopefully we'll keep doing this indefinitely, but I would love to get 50 episodes of a podcast. That would be awesome. I'm Spexo, and with me, as always, is Pine Sap. How are you doing today?
What's up, bro? How's it going?
Living the dream. So we haven't done an episode in like 10 days. How's everything?
Dude, everything's solid. Like, I had such a good time at that conference. I'm ready to talk about it and stuff like that. Been really white pilled recently. I looked at like a book the other day that I remembered criticizing like a long time ago, and I like reread it or something, or like reread the intro, and I was like, it's actually pretty good. I was like, I realized like the other day how like long I've come along in like my spiritual journey and stuff like that. So it's been awesome, dude.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah. So today's topic is going to be Christian nationalism rising. There's been a lot of talk in the media, and a lot of more based right wing people are starting to openly identify as Christian nationalism. So we're going to give our opinions on that, where I think it came from, how I feel about it, things of that nature. But as always, we will begin with prayer. So, in nomine Patre et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu mulieribus, benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. All right. So I guess the first thing we'll talk about is this Catholic summit that you went to. What was the deal with that? First of all, tell us what exactly was it like?
So Soka is it's based out of Colorado, but it's like nationwide. It's essentially an apostolate that's devoted to like evangelization, converting our country to Christ, but from a standpoint of developing the interior life, right? Because a lot of Catholic organizations already kind of are like, oh, we're about evangelizing, we're about spreading the gospel and all that, but they don't develop the most important part, which is the interior life. I can tell you all day about like the truths of Catholicism and stuff like that, but if I'm not a saint, it's like what good is it if I gaze into eternity only to turn away, right? And I suffer from that a lot, and so the conference was a really good like wake up call, I think, like saying like you have to get to the fundamental of our faith, which is prayer. All the externalities and stuff like that is so cool. It's awesome, but it's like the heart of our faith really is prayer and that union with God. And we can only have that if we develop our interior life. So the founder of Soka, Kevin Rotary, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's such a cool dude, and he founded Soka and this conference and stuff like that to just unite, faithful Orthodox Catholics and spreading the gospel in winning back the culture for Christ, and really just doing some great work inside the church.
Nice. And so how was the conference set up? Like, did you? Because I saw that video that you posted of you guys like walking or something. But was it like a bunch of different meetings and different speakers and stuff? Was there like a meet and greet? How did that work?
Yeah, so Friday night hits, and it's kind of more like a social on Friday. Actually, I forgot to say this. Friday night, John Doyle spoke. And John Doyle played first the intro to his video about why liberalism is satanic, and then he gave like an abbreviated version of his talk that he did on his YouTube. And it was really good. Like, I mean, he was solid and stuff like that. I did go up and ask him after, though. I was like, yo, have you ever read the book Liberalism is a Sin? He's like, no, what is that? I'm like, dude, I'm like, Father Felix made all these arguments like hundreds of years before you did. You got to read this book. So I saw him write it in his notes section to get and stuff like that. So John is already awesome, but he's going to just be even more awesome after reading that book.
Based.
And so he gave a really emboldening talk. We were like cheering and stuff like that. I asked him, I actually asked him a question about like kind of overcoming the founding. I was like, John, you know, a lot of people say like, you know, if we just return the Constitution and stuff like that, everything will be great. But I'm like, I almost think like we need to go beyond the founding. He's like, what do you think? And he completely agreed and stuff like that. But he said in it, he was like, it almost sounds like you want a Catholic monarchy. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do. But I was like, you know, I know that's not realistic. So like, what should we do? And he said, you know, I think if we would rewrite the Constitution, it'd be way more theocratic and religious and stuff like that. He's like, that'd be a really good move. And I said, I think so too.
Nice. Awesome. Who was that again?
John Doyle.
Oh, what? Oh, John Doyle. I'm thinking
Yeah,
about the YouTube.
John
Oh, okay.
Doyle.
Really? That's awesome. Did you talk any? Oh, God.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did you mention anything about like, oh, you're on Cozy, or that you're a fan of Nick Fuentes or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I did and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, cool. And he's like, that, you know, that's all right. You know, it was cool getting to talk to him and stuff like that. He's definitely, I mean, he's definitely in the pocket with us. He's a great dude. And you know, he kind of had like him and his squad around, which was really awesome to see. I laughed because that night I watched the American Virtue Conference and I saw
rough.
Vince. Well, I saw Vince Dow make the joke about I'm the knockoff John Doyle, and I was like, I'm literally at the event that like he like missed your stupid conference for.
Yeah,
I'm like, what a better spent of time, you know?
I wrote in the comments while like the live stream of American Virtue, whatever it's called, or whatever, when Carlson, what's his name, David Carlson was speaking or whatever, and I didn't write anything. I just wrote fetal alcohol syndrome and immediately got banned. So they didn't like me, I guess. But yeah, that was really hard to watch and cringe. But back to the conference thing, I think the question that's on everybody's mind, obviously, is religious hippie a good kisser?
Okay, I really hope she never sees my videos, our videos, because I'm gonna be so embarrassed. She, I did not kiss her. I'm not dating the religious hippie, even though I think she's pretty. But you know, she, in all seriousness, she gave a pretty good talk about like authentic masculinity and femininity and stuff like that. And I actually asked her a question. I was like, do you think like the way forward for like Catholic men and women is like rediscovering sort of that? Because G.K. Chesterton wrote a really, really good poem that actually 1791 L. Do you remember that YouTube channel, Spexo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they made a really good video like referring to GK's poem about feminism. And like at the end of that poem, he says like men and women need to like rediscover the promise of one man and one woman, you know, in the garden, one flesh, you know, before the fall.
That's the YouTube channel that used to post the really great like political and historical videos. I think I used to follow their Telegram with the archive of all their videos. They taught me a lot about like the Enlightenment and the French Revolution and stuff. Is that who I'm thinking about?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And they had fantastic editing skills. They like Ben Shapiro, like they did a video on Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and stuff like that. Kind of seemed like our guys. I can't remember. I thought someone said that like they disavowed Nick or something. Maybe they didn't. But I mean, they were like one of the pinnacles of kind of that like golden era of like new right kind of content coming out, like 2016, 2017, 2018. And they were right in that slot. And at the end of this poem that they made a video for by G.K. Chesterton, they GK says, like, you know, as I just said, like men and women need to rediscover like that promise in the garden. And so like I asked her about that, and she was like, yeah, like I agree and stuff like that. And you know, it was a cool. It was more like, what were your thoughts on this? But yeah.
Did you tell her to stop being an e-girl and that if she posts a picture, she better be covering her shoulders and wearing a veil? No.
I did not. I did not
you didn't
say
get a chance
that.
to
I
bring
was
that
a
up?
little worried if she kind of knew who I was. I ended up on her Instagram unintentionally because she videoed the procession we did in downtown, and that's the video I sent on my my Telegram, and everyone was like, "Dude, how tall are you?" and stuff like that. I was kind of even a little amazed. Like, I'm not trying to humble brag, but like, I was like, I'm that tall. I'm like, I don't feel tall, and I looked like this like lumbering giant, like next to my one friend who I met there and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know what it is. So I don't think I follow religious hippie like her actual account on Twitter, but I follow like you could follow topics now, and one of the topics I follow is Catholic Twitter. So she always is popping up on that, and I don't know why, but now every time I see a post from her, I get like unreasonably mad. Like even if I agree with something, I'm like, yeah, that's so base, but I hate you. Like it makes no sense. I don't know why. I think it just really is that she's a girl online, and I don't like that about her. But so I hate agreeing with her, I guess. But yeah. So who else spoke? Who was like your favorite speakers? What was their favorite moments that happened?
yeah. So
And how big
one
was
of
it? How many people were there?
it was huge. There
Oh
were
yeah.
like 200.
Oh wow.
Um, so one of my priests, I'm not gonna say his name, but one of my priests spoke and talked about how like we have to reclaim a Catholic culture and stuff like that. That was really really cool. He talked about like how we should know like Latin and stuff like that, at least like the prayers of the Rosary in Latin, and how like we need to be authentic in creating like Catholic spaces and stuff like that, and really winning back the culture by being like, no, you conform to us, not us to you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I completely agree with that, dude. It's like I I hate being like honestly, I hate being at my university now because it's like my Catholic club is like the little vestige of sanity in like just a world of insanity
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And I literally get so black pilled when I'm like in the lunchroom or something. I'm like, I literally hate being here in Denver. It's like this is awful, dude.
I feel you.
Um, oh, but go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was just gonna say. So is this like a yearly thing that they do?
It
And like,
is.
did you said? Oh, you said somebody recognized you, right? And came up to you.
Yeah, this one homie who watches our show came up to me and recognized me. I won't dox his name, but like he was awesome, man. I loved getting to talk to him. He was massive, dude. He was like your height and stuff like
Nope. Nobody.
that.
Nobody's my hype, but I understand. Go on.
Like everyone who watches the Logos Triumphant are like these like giants and stuff like
Of
that.
course.
Like
Yeah. They probably
it
got taller
really,
when they started watching.
dude,
Yeah.
exactly. Like the physiognomy just improves
Of
and stuff
course.
like that.
Yep. Look how HD you've become since you started the show.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was like the third talk. Kevin gave a great talk about like the interior life and like kind of introducing the conference. There was like a really good Carmelite brother who came who gave like a magnificent talk on like prayer and like listening to God and stuff like that. It was like beautiful, and he was like truly like otherworldly. Like he was like he was like already like talking to our Lord like while he was talking. You know what I mean? Like you could just tell like there wasn't like a spaced out nature to him, but there was just this like holiness of like I'm here but I'm not here. Like I'm thinking about eternity, and that was just so beautiful to see. Also, God bless Bishop Strickland. I just say that like he is literally one of the best bishops we have in the entire church. He like led the Marian procession. He gave like all the like conference like organizers like a personal
Oh yeah.
blessing
Did you
in
meet
this
him
like
or no?
I did.
Oh yeah.
I shook his
Nice.
hand, and actually when I
What?
get the picture back, because they're still my boy who took all the pictures is still uploading them. But once I get the picture back, I took a picture with them. That might honestly be my new profile
Yeah.
picture.
Definitely. That's
Um,
awesome.
he was
He
awesome,
give you a blessing or
and
no?
he did not give me a blessing, but I talked to him a little bit, and he was like, "I love converts and stuff like that." I was like it just like hit here, and he literally like he was in the basilica on top of I always forget what the like the little place that like in the fancier churches people go to like give sermons, and it's like really elevated from the rest of like the altar. I always forget what that's called. I'm awful. I should really remember. But he gave like a speech from this marble like column like announcing, and it was just about how like we had to improve our Eucharistic devotion, and how we had to like really be like true Catholics in this world and like stand amongst the storm. And I even went to like the gala that you like would like paid to went to. I like paid separately to go, and he literally said this quote, two quotes that stuck out to me. He said, "We have to live like first century Christians in the 21st century."
Mhm.
And then he said, we have to confess Christ's name bended on one knee. And I was like, let's
Jesus.
fricking go, man. That is so awesome.
Was it
And
was
my
it the pulpit you were
priest,
talking about? Pulpit?
the pulpit, yes, my bad. Why did I forget I think pulpit I always assume is like just a little elevated, but not like that elevated like he was.
That's what
But
they
it
had in the St. Patrick's Cathedral I went to. It was like a spiraling staircase or something, and then
yes,
they were like all the way up there, and I'd never seen something like that. It was really cool.
that is so awesome. Like that's like the triumphalism of like Catholicism that we love to see, man.
Hmm.
And like my priest said to me like after he like Bishop Strickland gave like the second talk at the gala, he said he was like, "Can we just like elect Bishop Strickland as like the bishop of all of Texas and then make the Republic of Texas like a Catholic theocratic state?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm there. Like let's do it already." You know
That's
what I
awesome.
mean?
That's sick. Awesome. Good. I'm glad you had a good time. It was like what? It was a 2 day event.
It was actually
Oh
4 days,
wow.
and
You slept
like
there, or is close to your house?
I slept at my buddy's house who lived like really close by, and like it allowed us to bond more too and stuff like that. He's such a good dude. I really like there was a lot of like spiritual fruit that came of it. Like I realized that like I struggle a lot with like pride and arrogance, and especially doing this show, like that's made it harder and stuff like that. Like I remember on TikTok, I was saying like mean things to people when they would like come in the com box and say, make a stupid comment about the church, but like I shouldn't get down on that level. And I was like really thinking about that. And I was also like, I know some people might call me pine simp for saying this, but I am going to defend myself here. It was really white pilling knowing that like not all women are like on birth control and like just obsessed with like abortion culture and stuff like that. Like the girls I met were like really, really kind, very well spoken. It was like really nice to know that there's like still like good women out there because like I never see them, dude. Like
No
being
kidding.
at
Not
college, it like
online. I think
not
that's a lot
online.
of people, like, we won't mention any names, but there's somebody in one of the chats that we're in that is always like making fun of us or like trying to like talk bad about us. Like if somebody from our chat says something to them, they're always like going like, "Oh, you guys condone this stuff or whatever, this behavior." And I think the other day they were talking about how because like you laughed at a joke about beating up a woman or something like that, and we had to these boomer people that just don't understand irony or humor or anything like
Yeah.
that. They think that like we're actually going around beating up women, and if you are, that's awesome, but we don't do that. But like the thing is that women and men obviously have their proper places in life, what they're meant to do, what God has naturally ordered them to do. And the modern woman in America, the overwhelming majority, are women who are not living up to their duty, who are promoting these feminist ideas and birth control and promiscuous sex and glamorizing that stuff, being social media influencers and stuff like that. The natural place for a woman is in the home, taking care of the children, nurturing the husband and stuff like that. Obviously, there are certain exceptions where they could work somehow or whatever, but this idea of like women in the workforce in mass is completely satanic and nonsense or whatever.
Yeah.
Women are designed to be mothers and nurturers and homekeepers and stuff like that, and guys are designed to provide and protect and be the maintainer of the family. So when we see all these women, that's basically what it is, because all these guys are just simping for these women and giving money to their OnlyFans, which I posted the other day. I still don't understand how OnlyFans is a thing. Like even in my most degenerate days, I would never pay for porn. Like I don't know. I guess like somebody was trying to explain it's like a personal relationship that they think what they have with the girl. That's like some mental illness. That's like a person that goes to a strip club and thinks like the stripper falls in love with them or something like that. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why people are paying for OnlyFans. Yeah. So the whole thing about like hating women is like, well, if you're a woman who's like a mother and like a devout Catholic and like you're in the house or whatever, then obviously we're not talking about you when we're talking about what women have become, because you're an exception to the rule. But the thing is, those women are not going to be offended because they're not online seeing what we're saying. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So it's like if you're a woman offended of like what we're saying online, you're probably the woman we're talking about because you're seeing our content. You shouldn't be on the internet. You shouldn't be a right-wing dissident political female or whatever. Like, no, you should be ironically punched in the face, but metaphorically speaking. But yeah, sorry, I don't know. I just went off a tangent, but go on.
No, dude, you're all good. Like all the women I met were like homeschooled or like went to like a devout Catholic school or something like that. and like really had this like love and this light. They also like none of them were feminists and stuff like that, and were like literally like, why am I not married already and
Mhm.
stuff like that. I had like a great 2 hour conversation with this one girl about like Mass of the Ages Part 2 and stuff like that. And like I showed her like the fake like Bunini quote, and like she literally like lightened up. She was like, wow, I didn't know that. Like, thank you for showing me like all this, and it was like so cool to like really, I think, make someone feel like a lot better about our times and
Mhm.
stuff like that in the church. One of the saddest things though about the conference, not and this is not dunking on anyone. Like literally every single person I met was awesome. Like the men and the women that I met, like literally made me like white pilled and stuff like that. The women that I met, has honestly made me reconsider a vocation in marriage, to be completely frank. And like the one thing that did stink though was how many of them like watched like Taylor Marshall or like
Yeah, that's
listened
what
to.
I was gonna ask. What like the crowd was like? Was it more like these rad trads, or were they like normie Catholics?
They were almost all of them attended the TLM, but it was like diocesan or fraternity of St. Peter. But you could really tell that like there were people at their parish like peddling these ideas, um, found in like iota unum or infiltration or something like that. And I literally would like talk to some of them, and I'd be like, like this stuff is fake, right? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, like, Dr. Taylor Marshall calls St. Paul the Sixth a homosexual, which was like written like an Italian journalist who like was a total muckracker, like liberal, wrote
Mhm.
that about him and stuff like that. And they're like, oh my goodness, like that's crazy. One gentleman I talked to who's a really great guy. Like he's not a bad guy at all, but like I could tell like his heart was so hurt by the stuff that he was hearing, because like I would tell him stuff about Pope Francis, and rather than being like elated, being like, oh, he's not a heretic, awesome, you know what I mean? He instead was like, but like, why do you even need to defend him and stuff like that? I was like, it's our duty, it's our
Yeah.
responsibility and stuff like that. And it was just so sad to see like how these mad trads like exploit these good Catholics. And it
Mhm.
honestly made me like, I'm on the warpath. Like SSPX, I'm coming
Yeah.
for you
Dark
after that
sat is
conference.
initiated.
Dude, literally, I'm not even kidding. Like I'm done with Kwasniewski. I'm done with Marshall. I'm done with the whole. I'm gonna be charitable to you because at least you're not a liberal. Like you guys are bad
Mhm.
for real. Like if you're telling people like all this stuff that makes them like sad to be Catholic and stuff like that, honestly, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm done. Dark Side out, and I'm
Let's
ready to
go.
destroy you.
Let's
You
go.
know
I
what I
want to
mean?
ask actually a question regarding that and how it pertains to recognize and resist real quick. But somebody in the
Yeah.
chat said deviant femininity should be the analog to toxic masculinity. No, dude. Toxic masculinity should not even be in your vocabulary, because the term toxic masculinity has been appropriated by liberals for men who act like men are supposed to.
Yeah.
Actual toxic masculinity is like guys who are like sitting at home all day masturbating and being complete degenerates and drinking to excess and doing all of that type of stuff. That should be what is considered masculinity, not guys who like are like alpha and like take the initiative and like are confident and are actually like doing good stuff and want to be in charge and lead. Those are all good qualities that have been labeled toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity should be these low life pathetic people that are not living according to God's will, and that should be what is comparable to these radical feminist types. And it's not even radical feminism, it's all feminism. It's not third wave feminism or whatever. All
Yeah.
feminism is completely satanic. It is
It's got to get out of here.
feminism is the antithesis of femininity, because feminism tries to make men equal. I mean, tries to make women equal to men. And now, yeah, we're equal in dignity and blah, blah, blah. But there are specific and important distinctions and differences between men and women where they have their own place that they're supposed to be in.
Amen.
And women are not supposed to do what men are meant to do, and men are not supposed to do what women are supposed to do. Women should not be working. They should not be in leadership positions. They should not have authority over men. This is
Yes.
all biblical. This is all Catholic teaching, right? So that's what should be considered toxic masculinity, not whatever. But God, what do you want to say?
Well, Spexo, what was Adam's original sin?
Simping. No. It was I guess pride, right? Wasn't it pride?
Well, pride. How?
I guess listening to Eve and the serpent over God, thinking no.
Do you know what his OG sin? That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what his original sin was?
Mm.
It was leaving Eve. He left Eve to be tempted by the serpent.
Did he
He
leave?
didn't.
I thought that the serpent was talking to both of them, and Eve just no. Okay.
No. Adam essentially walked away or wasn't paying attention. He should have. I can't remember who made the statue, but there's a statue. You know, you see it in like a lot of like fash wave edits and stuff like that. But like, it's like the guy, the like Herculean guy with like the snake like this, and he's like gripping it and like killing it. That's what Adam should have done.
Hold on, we got Milo's in chat. We got to address this while he's watching, real quick, and we'll come back to this. Okay?
Oh yeah.
He said,
you got it.
He said, "Bad take. SSPX are brothers in Christ. I will fight alongside gladly. We can deal with each other when the war is won." Which I would agree to a certain extent. They are our brothers in Christ.
I would agree to a certain extent.
So are Protestants, right? They are separated
Right.
brothers in life. But the SSPX are in error. And just because we have a temporal political war going on, stuff like that, doesn't mean we shouldn't be addressing error on all fronts, not just from the liberals and not just from all these other people that are subverting the church and stuff like that. The SSPX are leading people into error, and our souls are the most important thing. That's why we address it. And it's not that we're not paying attention to liberals and all the other nonsense, but we're addressing error from all sides. What would you like to say?
Well, a liberal, here's the easiest way to disprove a liberal. Literally just pick up your Bible. Like, I mean, it's not hard. Most of them aren't that educated, and they just say these like moral sophisms or one-liners that like really don't have any like precedence in our faith whatsoever. They're easily debunkable and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like they're not really much of a threat. The reason I seemingly talk about mad trads more is not because like there's more of them than the liberals. There's clearly more liberals in this world. But it's that in order for us to be faithful Catholics, we can't have a group saying, oh, we're the faithful option. You know, flee to us, come to us, support us, give us you're tired, you're sick, you're hungry, you're poor. And then leading people astray into Sedevacantism or Eastern Orthodoxy, which I've seen numerous times online, literally numerous. In fact, I still haven't made the video yet, but I literally saw this young man that I've wanted to make a response video to who left Catholicism because of the Society of St. Pius X. Half of his arguments of why he left the church aren't even like pro-Eastern Orthodox. He throws like a little something in there like, oh yeah, the Jesus prayer is cool, which we literally, that's our prayer, not the EO. But like, half of it is more him pointing out the inconsistencies of that movement, right? Like being like, oh, we only have to listen to the Pope when he's infallible. Oh, the past 5 popes and an entire ecumenical council with thousands of bishops can be in error and stuff like that. I do this because most Catholics I see online, they're not asking questions about the liberals. They're asking questions about these people who publish books, pamphlets, articles, all these things, destroying their faith. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to back to, and I'm not mad at Milo. I'm just saying in general, like, you know, this is the issue. This is the problem. This is half of what I get online. It's not people asking like, you know, what about this liberal prelate or whatever? Because literally you can open your Bible and instantly disprove them. But it's like people asking like, you know, why did Vatican II say this? But, you know, this priest in the Crisis in the Church series says X or Y. That's the whole issue. So it's like we can't be faithful Catholics if we're letting people go off the flock, right?
It's funny that that Milo's in the chat because this episode I was going to talk a lot about him. He says this SSPX crusade is a waste of 2 intellects. Well, 1 intellect and Spexo. Well, I'm tall, handsome, and successful, and can do 50 consecutive push-ups, so I don't need to be an intellectual. But I do see what you're saying, and from your standpoint. But this is something that I just completely disagree with you on. It's not like he just explained it perfectly. It's not a crusade specifically aimed at the SSPX. It's a crusade against all error, right? We want to profess the Catholic faith the correct way, right? And so we're going to call out error wherever we see it, regardless of who it's coming from, you know? Anyway.
Absolutely. I go off on EO a lot. Like, I go off on Eastern Orthodox just about as much as I go off on SSPX people.
Right. And so and he's talking about, like, it's just your own private grief, blah blah blah. It's not. He's saying it's your own private grief
No.
because you have no. This is all over the internet, bro. Literally every single thing. First of all, both of our personal experiences aside, because both of us were almost led astray by these types of people that, like Taylor Marshall, almost turning me into a seed and all that stuff, or going to Eastern Orthodoxy. But literally, ever since I started posting more Catholic content over the last year and a half or so, every question, 99% of the questions are not, like he said, not about liberals, not about this. It's about how do we reconcile this with the Pope? Oh, the SSPX said this, or Taylor Marshall said this. It's about always correcting these types of people. We already know the liberals are heretics. We already know the James Martins and all these people are trying to subvert the church and change Catholic teaching and stuff like that. We know all that stuff, but a lot of Catholics are struggling with being able to reconcile these rad trad people, and not enough people are talking about it, you know? And once again, it's not all we talk about. Like it's a very small portion. We also talk about Protestants all the time. We talk about Catholic history, but yeah, I mean that's enough to cover it. But oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because Milo is basically, when we get to the Christian nationalism, I actually will give more credit to Milo than more people will, and he won't admit this to me. He won't give me like any, like, I try to get like some secret information from him, but he won't give it to me. But I would say that he's the one. Nick said it in his speech that Milo got MTG to speak at AFPAC, right? And literally ever since she spoke at AFPAC, she has just gotten exponentially more based. And coincidentally, Milo started working with her or whatever. He posted something on his Telegram that he's like an intern or whatever he's doing with her or something, whatever. And now she's just openly endorsing Christian nationalism when Milo simultaneously gets confirmed as a Catholic in the same timeline. So he won't admit it to me, but I'm going to give Milo a lot of credit for pushing MTG in the more Christian nationalism direction and making her way less afraid of backing down from certain controversial opinions. Anyway, what were we talking about before that? Recognize and resist, right? Okay. So what is the difference? Because I was thinking about this. What is the difference between the recognize and resist people who are basically saying like, oh, we recognize that he's the legitimate Pope, but we resist his false teachings or whatever? Isn't that basically similar to the Sede privationists who are basically saying like, oh, he is the Pope, but he's lost his authority to be the Pope, so we're just going to do our own thing? Like, it seems like it's a very parallel thing.
Functionally, yes. It's completely similar because here's the problem, and this is what Jared talks about using Ronald Knox's Enthusiasm book, right? In every schism or heresy ever in the life of the church, there's always the more moderate people and the more extreme people. Are there more moderate SSPX people that probably like things like Veritas Splendor or like Benedict the 16th's motu proprio, or I can't remember, Summorum Pontificum. I think there was a motu proprio, if I'm not mistaken, but like Summorum Pontificum or something like that. Sure. And if you like that stuff, you wouldn't technically be a Sede Privationist, because I mean, Sede Privationists literally believe like the Pope has like no authority currently, like whatsoever. Like he's sitting on the throne, but it's like a king who's like dumb, deaf, and blind and can't.
So is that just like a Sede Vacantis cope then? Like, where did this come from? Because I know they started talking about it like when Mel Gibson was seen talking to a Sede Privationist priest or something like that. Like, I don't understand, like, why are they going to that? Is that like a new thing that spawned off of Sede Vacantism?
Actually, the opposite.
Really?
Father Gerard de Larrières founded Sede Privationism before Sede Vacantism. And I always say it like this. Sede Privation, if you're a Sede Privationist, you're not going to last long. You're going to become a Sede Vacantist, because it's like the theory that like someone can like manifestly like possess the pontificate and yet be a heretic and thus not exercise his authority doesn't make any sense. It's more consistent to say, oh, well, we have an anti-pope, right? Mm-hmm. We have an actual heretic who's taken the throne, and now, you know, and here we are.
We wouldn't have even if we thought that the Pope was the anti-Pope, we don't have the authority to declare that, right? It's never declared until afterwards.
Right. So, for instance, a really good quote, and this is actually a great one to use on a lot of people like Eastern Orthodox and stuff like that, is Saint Leo II writing about Honorius, right? So he talks about like resisting like the heresies of the Pope, but in the context in which he's talking about that, he says the only way that a pope can really be proclaimed to be a heretic is if his successor and like the bishops united with him declare it to be so. if that makes sense.
Did any of the previous anti-popes try to bind heresy to like through the magisterium?
They couldn't physically because so every single anti-pope, there was a living pope while they were around. The only anti-pope off the top of my head that I know ever became pope was actually Vigilius. Very interesting fact about Vigilius. Vigilius, when he was an anti-pope, because I believe it was Pope Saint Sylvester, like the second or something, was still alive, and Vigilius exiled him. But Pope Saint Sylvester didn't give up the pontificate, so he was still the pope. So while in Rome, Pope Vigilius was a heretic. He was, I think, professing monotheitism, Physeitism. I have a hard time pronouncing that, but the monophysite error, right? And people wouldn't like attend his masses that he celebrated and stuff like that because they're like, no, we like Pope Saint Sylvester. The moment Pope Saint Sylvester dies, they say, okay, Pope Vigilius is the Pope. The moment that happens, like lightning of the Holy Spirit crashing upon him, like the Holy Spirit descending upon the apostles, he instantly becomes Orthodox. He's not like, he's no longer a heretic. He's no longer trying to promote heresy. He's no longer trying to, attempting, but of course failing, to bind the church to some error. He literally rebukes, I believe it was Empress Theodora for the monophysite error. And he's like, no, I'm not going to go along with it. And he actually died in exile and suffered for the sake of the church.
Wow.
I mean, if that doesn't show like the Petrine charism, I don't know what does. Like, that's just insane. Like, he by all means should have retained his old opinions, right? But the moment he's actually coronated as the real pontiff, it's like all of that goes away. It's crazy.
So, that's awesome. But so back to the recognize and resist thing, right? So Sede Privationists believe that the Pope has lost all authority, but he's still the Pope, which I don't understand how that's even possible, right? So recognize and resist, what is basically, they recognize he's the Pope and that he has authority, but they're resisting his authority. And
they are
maybe explain that.
Ahead.
Yeah, maybe explain that in like a concise way, and like then try to summarize why that we can't be that.
So recognize and resist basically says that the Pope is the valid pontiff, that he's the valid successor of St. Peter, and that he does have the authority to exercise his pontificate, right? A Sede Privationist says he doesn't have the authority because it's been cut off from heresy. But a recognize and resistor claims that the past 5 popes have committed errors and have committed heresies, in fact, that they have to go to extra lengths to resist in the life of the church, meaning like writing that the Pope's a heretic, saying he's a heretic, declaring it as such, writing articles against him, coming out against him, and that sort of thing. In every single case where they claim there's some heresy, there isn't at all. But they falsely accuse the Pope of this, right? And so
do they
really
think that, I'm sure they do, because not all of them are like retarded. Like Taylor Marshall, he's still a smart guy, right? So like, does he actually think that the popes have like binded heresy to the magisterium, to the faithful? Because if they don't think that, then do they not know how the Pope works? That like, just because you think the Pope said something wrong or cringe or like heretical in his private life, that doesn't negate his papal office or whatever?
They repeat the error believing, oh, unless it's infallible, it's all good, right?
Okay.
Like, unless it's infallible, it's just ordinary magisterium. So he can be a repeated heretic over and over and over. It doesn't matter. It's not infallible. He's not binding the church, nothing. That doesn't work at all. You could have brief lapses in papal history. Like Honorius we just talked about is a good example, right? His letter to Sergius of Constantinople was it could be said, a public letter. Now, he didn't propose at all anything binding to the church in it. It wasn't really even ordinary magisterium, but it was above a level of kind of like private correspondence, right? So in that, he did commit an error. That's just a brief lapse, though, in ordinary magisterium. The magisterium allows in its ordinary magisterium for maybe brief lapses here and there. That's fine. That's why it's ordinary magisterium, right? Not extraordinary or infallible. Repeated lapses are impossible. That can't happen.
That was
right?
one of the like red pills of the whole like Vatican II thing or whatever, is that it was infallibly declared that even the ordinary magisterium cannot consistently and habitually error, right?
Yes.
So if you're saying that like Vatican II is like heretical or whatever, you're basically saying that for 6 decades now, the church has binded error to the faithful, which is
Yeah.
impossible as declared infallibly.
As declared infallibly. It can't happen. It does not work, right? And this is actually, I mean, this is why like Novus Ordo Watch has great articles taking down these guys, because they show, even from a pre-conciliar standpoint, I hate that term pre-conciliar, but just for the sake of argument, like from a pre-Vatican II standpoint, that wasn't even a tenable argument, right? And so these guys who say, you know, we recognize the Pope, but we resist him, that can't be done over and over and over. You could, for instance, like I think it was like Hugh of St. Thomas, Bishop Hugh of St. Thomas, like rebuked the Pope in like a private matter about like a marriage or something. And he's like, I recognize your authority, but I resist you. That wasn't magisterial like whatsoever. And Jer talks about this, right? Like Jeremiah has said, like that article that Eric Sammons wrote about like, you know, oh, an example of a guy recognizing and resisting a Pope. Completely different capacity, right? Like if the Pope told you to go murder someone, and you know, goodness forbid, but he told you to go murder someone, you're like, no, I resist you. You wouldn't be a recognize and resistor. That's not magisterium or anything like that, right?
Got you. Milo saying, say papacy. I know it's, what is it? It's papacy, right? And they all make fun of me because I say
Papacy.
I say papacy, like a paps. yeah, paps,
Like a
papacy. Papacy. I say it because Ray Gregory Palamas always corrects me, so I like to say it incorrectly, and now I don't even know which one is the correct way anymore.
You gaslit in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so what is it? It's I say papacy. So
Papacy.
It's papacy.
It is papacy.
And so I was saying papacy.
Yeah.
See, now I don't even remember how I was saying it. That's awesome. So somebody commented on, I think, one of your videos that I posted on my YouTube, or I think it might have been a clip from the show. I don't know. And I know this is a retarded take, but I couldn't really articulate a good way to answer it. I basically just said it was like incomparable. You're comparing something temporal to whatever, and what God specifically created us for. But basically his argument was like, you're basically saying be Catholic or burn in hell, but you can freely choose to be Catholic. We're not saying that you have to force to be Catholic. That reminds me a lot of these forced vaccines. Like, oh, you don't have to get the vaccine, but if you don't want to get the vaccine, then you just can't go shopping and can't go to the movies and can't do anything else that makes you a normal person in society. And like I said, I basically said, well, that's incomparable, that God created us to freely know, love, and serve him or whatever. And you're comparing something like that's basically going against God's will and our free bodily autonomy or whatever. But I would like to know what your response to somebody saying that would be.
So there was something that I heard once that changed my life, and I think it'll change your life too, Spexo, and change the lives of everyone here, because this really helped me understand God's mercy. A lot of people online here, you know, why would like God make someone to just be damned to hell? We have to understand is that when we were in the garden, Adam and Eve, our first parents, we were already reconciled with God, right? They were made reconciled with God, our first parents. So there was no even possibility for hell, right? In that garden state. Because of the fall, our natural like birth is, you know, it's like the AC/DC song, Highway to Hell. Like the moment you're born, you are born into this hellish state here on earth that will lead you to hell. God in his mercy, though, has sought to reconcile himself with us and bring us up to heaven through his church, through his sacraments and stuff like that. That's why the church is called the Ark of Salvation, because like when we're born into the flood. Like we're already born in the water and we're drowning. And the church is the means at which we climb up onto the ark and we're safe, right? So the best way, and a lot of the saints say this, we're not born destined on our way to heaven. We're born destined on our way to hell because of the fallen original disobedience of our parents that placed us in this hellish state. So God in his mercy is trying to reconcile us with himself. I mean, so much so that he would send his only son to bleed and die for our sake. And Jesus didn't even have to do that. Jesus could have just been like, the gates of heaven are open. But the reason he did that is because he wanted to feel our pain, our suffering. He wanted to love us. And he wanted to say, I know exactly what you go through. That's why he said on the cross, you know, Elihi, Elihi, you know, why, my God, why have you abandoned me? Referencing the Psalms. it's not because Jesus thought that God the Father abandoned him. It was because he was imitating our pain. When you're in that dark moment where you're like, God, I don't feel you right now. Like, what's going on and stuff like that. Like, you know, every single time, because of like my addiction or something that like I felt that darkness and stuff like that. Like, it's always that word on the cross that Christ spoke. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? Jesus literally brought himself to our level so that he could bring us to heaven. And so the natural way we should think is not, Catholics saying, well, I'm not saying you should, be Catholic or whatever, but you're just going to burn in hell. It's not like that. It's like, brother, you are on the course to hell right now. And I don't like that. And I don't want that for you. Please come to the ark. This is the only rock in a world full of really quicksand,
Awesome. Very based answer. Yeah. There was another thing that somebody said recently that I wanted you to address. Hopefully, I'll try to think about it.
Yeah.
Later. I just had it on the tip of my tongue and I forgot about it. But I wanted to go over Pope Francis's statements on colonialism, and I actually think me and you we're not going to disagree on the take of like how we should view it, but I think that we'll disagree on colonialism in general. But we'll get to that in a little while. I'm interested. Maybe you could red pill me on this, or maybe you'll change your mind. I don't know. But so Pope Francis. I guess he gave like a speech, and he basically apologized on behalf of the church for the sufferings that European Christian colonialism brought to native people or whatever, that destroyed cultures and what is it called, the homes that he was talking about, residential homes or something.
Yeah, the residential homes and stuff.
I don't even know much about that or whatever, but anyway, people are spurging out about it or whatever, right? And I think that the statement, I disagree with the statement, right? Like I think that it was imprudent, and even if you feel that way, you shouldn't be apologizing on behalf of the whole church as if it was like the church like sent people out to make people suffer or something like that, or if that was like an intention of the church. So if that is the proper translation and that is what he says, I completely disagree with it, right? And I think that he shouldn't have made that statement. But also, I don't understand why people are spurring out about it. You're perfectly allowed to disagree with it. This isn't a magisterial statement. This isn't something that he's binding to the church, to all the faithful to believe or whatever. Is it a cringe statement? Yes. I wish he didn't say it, or I wish he would have clarified better or something like that, or at least not put blame on the full church. Absolutely. But I saw Jack Posobiec basically calling Pope Francis an apostate because he like met with like some Indian and like put on like the Indian head feathers or something like that, right? And even CT was like, okay, doing something cringe doesn't make you an apostate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand these people. So I understand people are upset at that Pope Francis would say this, but this is a personal statement. This isn't binding. So why are you spurging out? Like, you're allowed to disagree with the Pope in this type of areas. I don't understand how people that are Catholics, that are lifelong Catholics, still don't understand like what the Pope's position is and how we're allowed to like respond to him. So I wanted to get your take on this whole situation and what you saw.
Yeah, so like I always defend, and I said this on my Telegram, I always defend the Pope, but sometimes when I defend the Pope, it's me acknowledging like, yeah, this wasn't a great situation by any means, but here's how the implications of it don't turn into like X, Y, Z or the other thing, like the crazy stuff people say online. Like a good example is like the 1986 like meeting at Assisi, the like interreligious meeting that like St. John Paul II held. It should have never happened. Like, I'll readily admit that it was not a good event. I don't think it ever should have happened. I think it was highly imprudent and stuff like that. But I know from St. John Paul II's words, as like James Larson writes in like War and the Papacy and is like addressed to the Curia, he wasn't a heretic. He wasn't denying the Catholic faith or anything like that. It was him extending his personalism too far, right?
Was he not praying with them though? And people say that like if you're praying with people that are praying to other gods or something like that, like that's a form of I don't know if it's ecumenism in the heretical way or something like that. Like what is the explanation for that though?
No, like it was more that he was praying alongside them, and I believe he even says this like in the 1986 thing. That's not like invalidated, like you're a heretic or whatever. Offering up incense to false gods or something would be like actual heresy and stuff like that. But an interesting story is Pope Saint, I believe it was Marconius, actually did offer up incense to false gods. and he like flung
Really?
himself in front of the and he flung himself in front of the
Honorius?
no Saint Marconius, I
Oh,
believe,
Marconius. Okay.
and he like flung himself in front of the bishops, and all the bishops said like, we don't dare judge you as the successor of Saint Peter and stuff like that, but they said, you know, you should do penance and stuff like that. And then when he was challenged to do it again, he actually was martyred, and that's why he was a saint, right? So, you know, there's been examples where, you know, sometimes a pope could have done a better job in that situation, but like still preserved intact the faith. And even St. John Paul II in his address after the happening said, I know that Christ is the only way to salvation. He's like, it was not like, you know, I didn't hold the event with the intention of saying that all religions are true or something like that. He was like, I held it the way he explained it is to see how others prayed and like where we share commonalities. Again, kind of his personalism extending too far, but I understand from his heart and stuff like that where he was and stuff like that. And so, you know, when I defend something like that, it's not saying like, oh, this was a good thing. It's like, well, no, here's why the implications of what you're saying are actually those implications. With Pope Francis, it's the same thing. I didn't like the comments that he made. You know, it's like the residential school things have actually been debunked by, I don't like her, but like Lauren Southern and, oh my goodness, Brian Holdsworth also did a debunking on them and stuff like that. And I think it was him, you know, trying to do kind of PR. Now, I did say, you know, I don't know what goes on in the Vatican. For all intents and purposes, Pope Francis could have literally just been told, oh, yeah, this definitely happened. And he was like, oh, well, that's awful. So I'm going to offer an apology, right? Like, he might have readily not, like, known, like, oh, like, heard any alternative facts about, like, no, Papa, this actually didn't happen. And so he might be operating off that premise, right? But on top of that, like, his apology, if you notice in his apology, he apologizes for colonialism, but he doesn't apologize for spreading Catholicism. He just says it was done in like an imprudent way or whatever. And I'm kind of like, you know, not the best. But again, it's not heresy or anything like that. It's just kind of a cringy statement, right? You know, and I do wish that he would kind of stand up and push back more against the culture too, I'll readily admit. But again, it's far from him being a heretic or anything like that. That doesn't even break the gap for heresy whatsoever, right?
Yeah, I want to answer a couple of questions in this chat because the chat like disappears and like we can't go back to it later. So I know it's kind of annoying, but
that's totally fine.
So Neil Platinus says Pope starts twerking. Oh, it's okay. I'm like about to ban you. No, we're not saying that at all. We literally just said that what he said is not okay. It's cringe. We're saying that you need to have some nuance and understand what the Pope's role is. If the Pope started twerking, we would be like, that is disgusting and he shouldn't do that at all. But that doesn't change the faith. That doesn't make him not the Pope. That doesn't invalidate his authority because he did something stupid or something.
I don't think, Spexo, I'll be honest, I don't think any of these people, if we lived under the pontificate of Benedict IX, I feel like all these people just like instantly leave the church. They'd be like, yeah, he's a sodomite and he's gross. And he's
what about the Pope that got killed by he was like sleeping with some dude's wife and the guy came in and like killed him, right?
Yeah,
like
Pope Saint Stephen was like ripped. Stephen the Fourth, sorry, I said saint. He wasn't a saint. Pope Stephen the Fourth was like literally like killed by like a mob, right? Like,
and was he the same guy, or who's the guy that also? This is like my favorite Pope story because it's just so ridiculous that he wanted to, I guess, put on trial the previous Pope.
That was him.
For heresy, right? He wanted to put the previous Pope on trial for heresy. The only problem was the previous Pope was dead. So he had his body exhumed, put him on a chair in a courtroom, and held a mock trial for his corpse to declare him a heretic.
Yeah.
That's what like some popes have done. And you want to talk about, oh, Francis wear a stupid hat that I don't like, and this ruins Catholicism for me. It's like, bro, shut up.
This isn't based Hyperborea Hitlerites. I'm done, you know?
How can I make a Dark Age edit to this? I can't. This is impossible. Mike wants to know, can you give an explanation against people who say Saint Pope John Paul II kissed a Quran? He did kiss Quran, and it was cringe.
He did kiss a Quran. It was cringe, but again, it was like his personalism extending too far. I don't need to cover up the fact he did kiss a Quran. It wasn't like a green-colored Bible or something like that, like some like to say. It was a Quran, but again, it was kind of his way of showing respect to the like. I think it was like the Saudi ambassador that like visited him and stuff like that. not a good action. I'm not a fan of it. But again, he didn't, it's like his other comment about like, may St. John the Baptist, like, bless Islam or whatever, again, personalism extending too far. But he also, in the same capacity, people don't also hear the based stories about him. The Japan bishops, or not all of them, but a couple of the Japan bishops actually wanted to start like practicing like Buddhist syncretism. And he literally said, he said to them, whatever is good and holy in Buddhism, he's like, it can't justify that. And he's like, I'm shutting it down.
He says kissing a Quran is literally heresy. How? What dogma is kissing a book denying? Do you not?
It's not heresy. Heresy, okay, people don't understand what heresy is. They just like
just throw it out there.
It's a wuzzle. It's this amorphous thing.
It's like racist. It's like how liberals use racist. Like, you're a heretic. Right. Like, you don't know it. Like, it's retarded.
Heresy is an obstinate. This is the exact catechism definition of heresy. Heresy is an obstinate denial of a dogma of the faith, or I believe it's also worded a truth of the faith. Right? Did St. John Paul II in that say all religions are true? Nope. Can't find me a single statement where he said that. Did he say that Catholicism isn't the one true faith? Nope. So it's not heresy. It's a bad action. Sure. I said it was a bad action, but it's not heresy. Y'all need to stop just like, rush into that line and stuff like that, because you'll get really confused if you just deem whatever you don't like as heresy, right? Heresy has a very specific definition.
Heresy would be like if you denied the resurrection or the Immaculate Conception or the Assumption or something along those lines that are dogmas of the Catholic faith that are required for belief, right? Also, we talked about this privately, but I think we should talk about this too, because I think it's important, that the difference between like heresy and error, right? So heresy is obstinately denying a Catholic dogma, right? And this also, like, if you like misspeak or you have a wrong belief, like by accident, like of no fault of your own, it doesn't mean you're a heresy. If you're corrected and then you say, oh, I didn't know that was a teaching, and then you submit to it, then you're fine, right? But so heresy is denying a Catholic dogma. Being in error are like people that will disobey the ordinary magisterium or something juridical, right?
Right. That's why like the SSPX or like not all SSPX people who attend the chapels, but like some SSPX are in error because they're not heretics, but they're like in error because they deny like the ordinary magisterium of the Pope, or EO are like in error because they deny like the papal prerogatives and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But it's still separating you from the church, just like heresy would.
Right.
So it's not okay to be in error. Like,
no. Right. And there is something called intellectual error, which again, people online don't understand. I see people make response videos to like even guys like Trent Horn or something who might have like in an episode in like 1995 said one incorrect thing that like later he corrected, where an intellectual error is literally just stating something that's incorrect and it being a mistake. Like, you didn't mean to do that, right? Like, St. Thomas Aquinas denied the Immaculate Conception.
Because it wasn't a dogma yet.
But it wasn't a dogma. Even John the 22nd denied the beatific vision, but the beatific vision actually was only a popular held theological position and wasn't codified infallibly till actually I believe Benedict XII, who succeeded John the 22nd. But John the 22nd also died accepting the beatific vision too, when it was proven that he was kind of incorrect about it and stuff like that. He's like, okay, I relent,
Just like people are currently allowed to believe that the earth is round or whatever because it hasn't been dogmatized. Flat earth has unfortunately not been dogmatized yet. So right now you're good. But once it's dogmatized that the earth is flat and stationary and that the sun revolves around the earth, then you're going to have to submit to flat earth. But
and then it's over for us globetards, man.
Back to the Quran thing. Did the church ever make a statement on it? Because I heard other apologists say that there was no statement, and we don't even know if he knew it was a Quran or just thought it was a Bible or something like that. But you're saying he did know it was a Quran. But is there any, like, did they ever make a statement about this?
Not off the top of my head. If I do enough digging, I'm sure I can find something. But like, knowing, I feel like this statement that he delivered after Assisi is like enough to know exactly where St. John Paul II's heart was, where he clearly affirmed that Christ is the sole means of salvation. One of my priests actually gave a really good homily on Sensus Fidelium one time about how like all the based priests we really like in the church came in under St. John Paul II's like era, right? And it was because St. John Paul II really was an Orthodox Pope. Right? Well, I mean, of course, even Pope Francis is an Orthodox Pope. But what I mean is, like, he really did care about the faith and stuff like that. And again, I think the personalism and the ecumenism kind of would take some steps a little too in the wrong direction. Not heretical, but like, okay, we didn't need to like do the Assisi meeting or what have you. But that's far from being something that's like in error or anything like that. It was just like, okay, this isn't the best action. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, that's what I want to talk about. The colonialism, right? In general, I want to see what your take is on this. So,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of people that are like, oh no, colonialism was based. We invaded these people and conquered them, and we gave them technology and blah blah all this stuff or whatever. And like, I have the opposite opinion. I think that we should have evangelized. I think that we should have spread the Catholic faith, converted these people or whatever. But then I think we should have just dipped, right? Like, because like colonialism, while there are some good things about it, right? Like whatever these other natives or whatever cultures, whatever, got like medicine that they may never have gotten and stuff, and learned a better lifestyle, a more advanced lifestyle or whatever. But I compare it to the industrial revolution, and it's similar things. That yeah, there are some good things that came from it, but the negative far outweigh the positive, and I think they go hand in hand and are parallel. Like colonialism is basically what led to this multiculturalism, this like just degenerate mixed everything. You know what I'm saying? Like that no distinctions within groups anymore and stuff. And I think that it would have been better if we just went there, converted them, and whatever. Like, why are these like natives speaking English and stuff, right? Because of Anglo imperialism and stuff, right? Or Brazil speaking Portuguese and stuff because of Portugal. So all that culture or whatever has been that they had, the languages they speak, even if it was primitive and they were all retards or whatever it was, it doesn't matter. It was still their culture, and we basically just invaded them, changed their entire way of life, right? Maybe for the better in a lot of ways and stuff like that, but I still don't see that as an overall positive, especially considering what it led to in the modern world, right? Same thing with industrial revolution. We're completely dependent on technology now. People want to talk about all the great stuff that we have now because of technology. We have lost control of the advancement of technology. It's completely destroyed our natural human process. Things that everybody was able to do 150 years ago, they can't do it anymore. We have to basically use surrogate activities to basically get that natural human process that we have lost and become addicted to all of this consumerism and all this technological nonsense that people aren't even living real human lives anymore, right? So yeah, you could say that, oh, well, now we have all this medicine and we have cars that go fast and stuff like that. Okay, but now we're dependent on this technology. We're dependent on cars. We can't live without a phone and a bank account and all this stuff. So like, I just think that it's all satanic, so I wanted to get your opinion on that, because I know a lot of people on the right-wing nationalistic side like basically think that colonialism is awesome and based and we're conquerors and stuff.
Yeah, so that gives me a lot to think about, and I'm kind of the opinion that I think living in a homeland and having a sense of identity and stuff like that is very important. And I think that everyone should have that sense of identity and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm like one of these things like the racist white people came across the ocean and, stuff like that.
No, I
No,
don't
but
believe, that's not what I was trying to say either.
no. And I know you're not. I just wanted to clarify for anyone who may think I'm like saying that or whatever. But I do think there is something to be said, and this is something that like servant of God Bartholomew de las Casas and
I love when you do the accents. Foreign names.
And Francisco de Vitoria said
you're blurry,
when like
by the way. You're mad blurry now. You got to focus.
Oh yeah, I might be just lagging out a little bit. It generally kind of comes back a little bit, but it's one of those things where they were talking about at the time the Spaniards coming to Central America, New America, right, and conquering it and stuff like that. And they're like, they're a lot more concerned with getting like gold or something like that than they really are about like the faith. And I, for one, these two very saintly men, I for one agree with them, right? I think we get a little too caught up in the externalities of this world that we forget the fundamentals, right? It's like I said earlier in the episode, like prayer being a fundamental, right? Like I can get so caught up in Catholic history and all this stuff, and all that stuff's awesome. All that stuff's cool, but it's like if I lose that or if I take that over prayer, or like in the case of colonialism, I take like gathering resources and spreading my specific culture over just spreading the faith. It's like I'm putting the cart before the horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's the thing about Catholicism too, is that yes, it's universal, but it's always respected different groups and different cultures and stuff.
Absolutely.
And different cultures have adapted their culture to the faith. So they express their faith in a different way than other people. Like that's why we have different rites and stuff like that, but we're still all in communion. But it was never about destroying other people's cultures. Like I understand the argument, like, well, we went there and they were like cutting each other's heads off and child sacrifices and stuff like that. And yeah, all that stuff is horrible, but you know what cures that is Catholicism, right? Once we make them Catholic, they're not going to continue to do that stuff if they have like the Catholic faith or whatever. And like, even if they have a primitive and they're dumb and they're whatever, drinking, eating mud, whatever they're doing, leave them alone. Let them do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? As long as they're Catholic.
A lot of the Lakota and Dakota, when I went to South Dakota, that trip like changed my life. When I went to South Dakota, like a lot of the Lakota and Dakota are some of the most faithful Catholics actually in all of America currently. Like the diocese of like South Dakota is like incredibly based, and like Archbishop Charles Chaput, who is I think he's Dakotan. He's like a very reverent archbishop in the life of the church. Like he's another great prelate I'm very thankful for and stuff like that. So it's like I think it's so cool how God takes like all the races of the earth, and it's like we're all on like this pastel. We're all on this earth, and he just takes us like with his fingers and just like paints this beautiful portrait that is, you know, really his church. You know what I mean? Like we're all included in that. Like no one's talking about like, you know, oh, well, you're over on the side because you're white and you should feel bad for being white and you're stupid whitey, or like, you know, you should feel bad for being I don't know, Dakotan or black, you know, whatever. It's like we're just all Catholic. You know, we're all one in the mystical body of Christ, and yet we retain our individual differences. You know, just like how in a family, like, you know, a family is all different, but they're one family, right? You're not your mom, and your sister's not your dad, and your brother's not your uncle or whatever, but it's like unless you're all one family. But no, okay. Well, yeah, unless you got like a hand growing out of here and stuff like that. I'm also have a lot of Alabama heritage, so I can make those jokes. But
the pass.
But yeah, I mean, it's just really, really cool. And you know, some people might say I sound like, you know, like one of those, and like, look, I understand like the cucky attitude of like there is no color or something like that. It's like, no, races clearly exist. We shouldn't like pretend like they don't. But it's like the meta commentary of everything, and this is something that medieval Europe actually understood, was that like we're just all, it matters whether you're Catholic or not. I think it's a lot more based if someone like goes up to you and they're like, are you devout like Catholic versus like what skin color you boy, you know? Because like if I know they're a devout Catholic, they're not going to mess with me and I'm not going to mess with them. I can be white and marry a white woman, have a white family and grow white culture, and they're not going to mess with me and I wouldn't mess with them, right?
Somebody says marrying distant family is based. It's not, actually.
It's not.
Incest is condemned. You can't marry anybody that is less than 4 deviations away or something.
Yeah.
I think that's what's in the catechism. So I think you can marry your third cousin, maybe. Third
I think so.
I think so. But that used to be different.
Third cousin would make sense, but that's still really creepy. Like,
I mean, come on. Okay, if Adam and Eve, let's be real. Like, if Adam and Eve are our first parents, right? There was some incest going on to populate the whole world, no?
Right. I mean, no, there was like this is talked about in the genealogy. Like there was a level of that, but it's kind of different, like rules and stuff
this
like that.
Anti-incest thing is total modernism. I live by Adam and Eve rules now.
Return to tradition, dude. This is all because of the Council of Jerusalem, dude. If we just turn back the clock, if we turn back the This is all because of going on Mount
Yeah,
Sinai.
yeah. Didn't Lot and his daughters in the Bible? Somebody mentioned that Lot and his daughters. Like, didn't the daughter sleep with the dad or something? And he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Lot got drunk off the wine and like fell asleep, and
but also, was that like is that one of those things that's like a metaphor or analogous to something, or is that like supposed to be like a historical thing?
I think that's historical. But the thing is, like, in that
Yeah,
event,
it's different
like,
context, different.
it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
different context, and any sort of like weirdness is preserved, preserved out of that sphere. It's not like that happening right now. It's a different
Yeah.
kind of thing going on.
We got a. I'm sweating like crazy. We got a super chat from God First Groiper. He said,
Yo,
Dark Sap Rising." So true. Um,
dark dark sap,
yeah.
the two A's, but they're like these,
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to mention this too before people say like I was cucking on the colonialism question. I fully don't think that like black people or Hispanics or whoever is like a result of colonization in America or whatever have
No.
any right to like say like, oh, you're a colonizer, you did this to our people. It's like, well, first of all, I'm Irish, I didn't colonize anybody, right? But second of all, like, no, you would be eating mud, you would be cutting off children's head if we didn't do that to you or whatever. So
Right.
you should be actually thanking us. I'm just saying that the result of colonialism, besides making them Catholic, was not good overall.
Right.
That's my opinion. Dispensation, did the church grant dispensations to royalty or something? I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
He's talking about on the question of like or incest.
Incense is based. Incest is not based.
I actually don't think there were dispensations granted. I think they just tried to kind of like play it down or play it off. Because, like, I mean, the royals and the royal family like would try to get around the church law a lot. Like, that was a substantial amount of the church state conflict, like in the 1000s, right? Like, the king wanting to go do something and the church having to like battle back and forth, right?
All right. Okay.
But
So,
also, like, royal incest wasn't as common as people think it was,
yeah,
really.
yeah. When I was looking into the stuff, it was like a lot of the time there was like cousin marriages, and that wasn't considered like bad or whatever, I guess, in like the Middle Ages. But like a lot of the times when you had like a king of a country or whatever, the wife would usually be somebody of a different country that was basically like
Yes.
imported to them to make like a deal that they wouldn't go to war with each other. There was like a lot of that
Yes.
happening. That's why you had like you would have like a French queen in like a different country,
Russia.
Russia, yeah, right. So like a lot of that was happening too. Okay, so the last thing before we get to the main topic, even though we've been already going over an hour, so they did another thing where they limited the TLM in Washington D.C. And this seems to just be like a more occurring thing that they just continuously are limiting the TLM. And I wanted to get your opinion on it. I'm honestly, like, obviously they have the right to do that or whatever. And I understand the argument that they're trying to make like the rad trads who are who think that like the Novus Ordo is invalid or something like that, basically force them to come to Novus Ordo. But I don't think that's the best decision. I think there are a lot of faithful Catholics that just love the TLM,
Yeah.
and want to go to it, and stuff. And I like going to the Byzantine right now. Like
Right.
I'm not changing rites or anything like that, but occasionally now I like to attend Byzantine rite masses. I think that Catholics should have the option to go to all different types of rites. So I don't think it's a good idea to just keep limiting the TLM. I think that like if like a specific diocese is in error or is talking about like bad mouthing Vatican II or the Novus Ordo or something like that, that needs to be corrected. But I think just basically what you're doing is punishing the lay people who like to attend the TLM just to like make a point. So I don't think that's the most prudent decision. I'd like to know what your opinion is.
I would really agree. A lot of people think that like I'm like anti TLM or something like that. I'm literally not. Like, I actually attend a fraternity parish like every once in a while. It's kind of far from me, but like every once in a while, I go up to one. Actually one of the most popular ones in all of the United States. And even doing this conference, like there was a really like meeting all these like young Catholics who by and large attend the TLM. They're not bad people. They're not schismatic, mad trad, whatever. They're just like Catholics just trying to live their faith, man. And like I do feel like it is highly imprudent compared to like the amount of people who go to your average parish and believe in contraception or, you know, uh, essentially like, are adulterers or barely go to confession or do this, and so it's kind of one of these things where I think almost it's very sad pastorally, right? It's very sad, and I think the biggest thing is, and I actually wanted to make a TikTok about this and show some real sympathy, but I do want to say this, and this isn't going to be easy to hear. Please bear with me. I'm not lecturing anybody when I'm saying this. I want you to, for a moment, to close your eyes, and I want you to think, if goodness forbid this happen, I'm literally not wishing for this, but goodness forbid this happens, the TLM was gone tomorrow. Where would your faith be? Would you be inside the church or outside? If you say you'd be outside the church, there's a lot we got to work on there. You know what I mean? I understand it's really sad. I understand it would hurt. I understand it would be awful, and I'm not for that at all. I'm literally not. But if you're going to place something that the church makes over the church, that's the wrong ordering. It's like E. Michael Jones said, actually, when Traditionis Custodes came out. Is the Bible awesome? Yeah. But if you follow the Bible outside of the church, it's,
A revolutionary book.
It's a revolutionary book. Is Fatima awesome? Yeah, Our Lady of Fatima is fantastic. It's a beautiful apparition. But if you use Our Lady of Fatima to be like, oh, this is why I need to do this extraordinary thing and go out here, you're putting everything above the church. And I don't know what the future will hold. I really do hope and want to pray to our Lord that the Fraternity of St. Peter and ICKSP, which by all intents and purposes, I think they're all right. I think it's more the diocesan TLMs that are being affected. I haven't heard of really many things with the fraternity or ICKSP except kind of what was going on in Chicago. But I want them to be okay. But if goodness forbid we had a complete TLM ban or something, we need to be prepared to beatify our local parishes. We need to get involved. And this is what I keep saying to people. It's not enough to just simply retreat. It's not enough to just simply say, I'm going to go hold out and hide out in this little spot. You need to go and get involved in your parish council. You need to be involved in the catechism class. You need to, and it's okay if you want to do the TLM while doing that, but also go to the local masses too and try and get involved in the parish. Guys, it's generally a bunch of old boomers. They're not really going to put up much of a fight. Like, they're going to be like, oh, well, that Zoomer was kind of mean to me when he, rejected my caramel Werthers or whatever. So it's like, get involved in your local parish and be like, the youth want like reverent masses. No clown mass, no, anything like that. Let's get out stuff like guitars and stuff like that. That's not really that reverent. And even if it's small, like starting with your pastor and being like, Father, can we do a mass maybe like one day a week that like the consecration is fully in Latin and we maybe do it ad orientem, right? Start small stuff like that. And then slowly but surely, things will move in such a way that everything will work out. You know what I mean? So really at the heart of it is, guys, we gotta be the change that we want to see. You know what I mean? And the Novus Ordo, like I said, when I've gone to a properly done Novus Ordo, I went to one last Sunday, actually. It was beautiful.
Yep.
I mean, it was like a Latin Mass experience. I will go so far as to say that. It was a Latin Mass experience. I think when it's properly done, I don't think that there would be any question about Novus Ordo versus TLM. I think it's just that because there are so many parishes that do it awfully, that's why we see that discontinuity. But if we bridge that gap, you'll basically have your TLM experience at your local parish. But you got to be that change, man. You got to be the hero of your own story. This is like what me and Spexer were saying in the past episode. You got to be the change you want to see. If you just go on my or Spexer's page and complain about it all day, that's great. What are you doing? Are you praying? Are you getting involved? Stop complaining and start putting those words to feet into action. And that's what I wanted to say.
So true. One thing I wanted to mention real quick is I was talking. Oh, by the way, announcement. We're not. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but Pine Sap, TR Sarder, and myself are part of this project that another Groiper is putting together. That we're all doing. We're all part of. All giving interviews for and stuff like that. I just did mine last night. I'm very excited for it. It should be out in the next couple of weeks. So look into that. But I was talking to the person who's putting this together. I don't know if he wants me to like say anything else about it. So I'm not gonna even say what his name is yet. But we were talking about yesterday, and one thing I wanted to cover is that the Pope is not the Pope of America. He is not focused on every little thing that is going on in America and every political thing or scandal that's going on. He is the Pope of the Universal Church that covers 187 countries, okay? And he has advisors and people that are around him and stuff like that. So when people think like, why isn't the Pope addressing this specific issue that's going on in Denver? It's like, well, bro, he's in Rome and he has a lot of other stuff on his plate. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even comparable to like the president or somebody like that or whatever, like saying like, oh, well, the president isn't addressing the Flint water crisis and stuff like that. Imagine that times 187, right? Like the Pope is not going to address every single little thing, like with the Nancy Pelosi thing or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pope had no idea about the excommunication thing with Nancy Pelosi, right? He barely speaks English, right? He's constantly on the move. He's dealing with health problems. He's 85 years old. Like, give the dude a break. Like, I just wanted to mention that.
Well, I always say it's like your grandpa. Like everyone thinks that like the Pope should be like reading 4chan posts about like, guys, this is what happened during World War II, and you need to hear about it. It's like, like the Pope's not like on like, social media getting red pilled and plugged in. He's 85 years old. He's like your grandparents' age. I mean, some of you might have pretty base grandparents, but most of us, our grandparents like watch the nightly news, right? They like watch like, and that's not me criticizing my grandparents or anything like that or anyone else's. That's just saying like, you have to have some perspective about the generational gap there of what kind of information is being disseminated. A lot of us like really get deep into these topics. We really read. We go on the deepest parts of the internet to try and find information and stuff like that. The older generation isn't that plugged in. And so they just see, the top cream or whatever, what kind of rises to the top.
Facts. All right. Let's get into the main topic after an hour.
I actually legit forgot what the main topic is.
Christian nationalism rising.
Yes.
All right. So,
yes.
I wanted to cover this because, oh, your mic is echoing now. I don't know. Did you change something?
Oh,
Hello. All right, we're good. So I wanted to cover Christian nationalism a little bit. We actually today, this is like kind of like an off the cuff video. We actually had an interview planned, and then the guy just never responded after he said he was gonna come on. So whatever. Hopefully we'll get him some other time, I guess. But I think this episode went a lot better anyway because we had a lot to talk about. But so Christian nationalism is obviously been in the news a lot, and it kind of like Nick Fuentes has basically always called himself a Christian nationalist to some point, but in the last like month or two, there was like a whole bunch of articles and stuff like warning about the dangers of Christian nationalism and that Christian nationalists want to take over America. And it's basically become like the new white nationalist, like using that prerogative term as like a fear propaganda tool, right? Like white nationalism doesn't mean anything anymore. People have basically woken up to the fact that it really has no meaning anymore, like the term racist and all these other stuff or whatever. So now it seems that Christian nationalism is the new fear tactic, right? Which is ironic and hilarious because everybody should want some type of form of Christian nationalism or whatever. And then I guess Nick Fuentes posted on his Telegram a couple of weeks ago some article, called him a white nationalist. He said, we're not white nationalists, we're Christian nationalists. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene got questioned about being a Christian nationalist, and she said, yes, I am. I think we should all be Christian nationalists. I'm Christian and I'm a nationalist. Nationalism isn't a bad word. It means you love your country. And then she's putting out a shirt saying, like, I'm a proud Christian nationalist from her official campaign site and stuff. And like I said before, I think I give like the majority of credit to Milo, even though he won't admit it. So, I mean, I think that this development is awesome, that it's becoming popular. People are embracing it. It's obviously like a less taboo term than white nationalist. It's not. They're, no matter how bad they perceive it or whatever false flags they do or whatever. There's so many Christians, even if they're Protestant or whatever, that are never. They're never going to say like. They're never going to be like, oh, Christian nationalism. Oh no, the Christian nationalists are going to get me. You know what I'm saying? It's actually. I think what it's going to do is going to galvanize more people to be in support of Christian nationalism. Right? Like if you're explaining it to them, like, oh well, it just means that you're a Christian and you love your country. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I love my country. You know, I think this is a very good term for people to surround themselves by. So I want to get your opinion on that, and I also want to say like what I understand as Christian nationalism, because like I don't consider myself a nationalist in the sense of like what it originally intended, because what it originally intended was it was basically an Enlightenment era concept of the nation state being sovereign from the Catholic Church, which is not something I support or whatever. When I say nationalism, I mean in the current like colloquial term is that I want every policy in the government to focus on what is best for the people of the nation that they are leading. I want them to put the country first, not give foreign aid to people. I want a cohesive culture and nation. I want to keep the historic demographics and maintain our historic culture and traditions and things of that nature. That's what type of nationalism I want. And in terms of Christian nationalism, obviously, God and Jesus Christ should be the foundation of every law and every moral standard in our country. And obviously, I would be a Catholic nationalist over a Christian nationalist, but I think Christian nationalism is a good term. I want to know what you think of this whole new Christian nationalism thing.
Well, I like our movement, so that's just, I'll just establish that. There's so many dimensions to the term nationalism and stuff like that really have to be considered. Some height of heights, which I feel like AF really is, because I think every AF Catholic that I have met, very few are disobedient. An extreme amount are faithful to the Pope. They're like, I literally remember I made a Reddit account just to go on there and be like, Groypers are faithful to the Pope and to the magisterium and stuff like that. And then literally they're like, you can't respond because your account was new. And I was like, bruh, come on. But like, we have such great Catholics in our movement. Mm-hmm. And I will go to bat for the Catholic Groypers any day, because I've just seen such a burgeoning faith, such a like lively faith, and we mean it in the term that I think Jacques Maritain means when he writes it in Primacy of the Spiritual on the Things That Are Not Caesar's, where he says it's people who love their nation and want to do the best for it, right? The potential pitfall I think we avoid, which the potential pitfall is like idolizing your nation, right? And it's funny because Maritain went through this, because Action France, which has a lot of great elements. I own Charles Maurras's book, Who Founded It, but the problem was at the time, some of them idolized France more than the church, right? And the guys who idolized the church more were guys like Maritain and, oh my goodness, George Bernanos, and, all these other men, the guys who fought in the Jeanne d'Arc League in the Spanish Civil War, like they were about being Catholic first, but they still loved France, right? And the Pope, recognizing this, Pope Pius XII actually rescinded the excommunication because of that. He was like, no, these guys are just French patriots that love the church and France. We're good. But the reason Pius XI condemned Action France was because there were a lot of people who were like naturalists. And they were like, oh, I like Catholicism because it's like a glue, right? That like holds the nation together. Not like the nation is a part of the church, but like the church is a part of a nation, the nation, right? In a sense of like putting the nation above the church. And that's what he condemned. And that's what you see with a lot of, what I like to call kind of LARPy Catholics. They look at the Deus Vult memes or what have you, and they're like, I'm a, nationalist, whatever, and then they something happens, and almost always they're like, black pilled, I'm Eastern Orthodox now, or something like that, because like Eastern Orthodoxy is nationalistic, right? So it nationalistic not in the good sense, but in the sense of like literally your church is confided to your nation. So it's like this idolism of the nation that takes over them. versus like these Catholic groypers would die for their faith.
Right.
And because they would die for their faith, they would die for their nation to make it Catholic and form it in the image of what a Catholic nation is supposed to look like. And that is beautiful and holy and sacred and good. Monsignor Luigi Savardi, who wrote a really good book that I've been meaning to pick up more, but I read an excerpt the other day, How Christ Changed the World. He writes in there how Christ literally ushered in a greater love for our own nation, right? And he references like Tertullian, St. Augustine, the popes, and how like we all have to be patriots. You know, we all have to love our nation and our country. You know, Catholic and Identitarian talks about this a lot.
Yeah.
When Pope St. John Paul II got off the plane to Poland, he kissed the ground and said, "I'm back home." You know what I mean? Like, it's a beautiful thing to love your nation. And so I'm so white-pilled about like the, you know, Catholic nationalists that are taking hold. And what's really cool too is I think it's also the positive fruits of Vatican II ecumenism, because we then start mixing with these like Protestants and these Eastern Orthodox and people who are very similarly aligned to us, and we start talking to them and having good like dialogues to the point where a lot of them are like, dang dude, like you've convinced me, I'm going to become Catholic now. Mm-hmm. I can't count how many times that's happened online already where I like talk to these people and they're like, yeah, I got involved with like AF and I just started like talking to all these Catholics. And I'm like, now I'm being confirmed next summer or whatever. I'm like, blessed be God. That's awesome.
Facts.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of like the whole groyper thing, the stereotype for groypers is that they're nerdy teenage incels who hate women and are degenerates and or whatever.
And they're Nazis
and all that stuff. Yeah. White supremacists. I've been to, I think, 7 different America First events and rallies so far in the last 2 years. And literally every single groyper I've met in real life are well-dressed, upper middle class, either young 20s or mid 20s, who are either in college or married with kids, who are well-spoken, smart, articulate, and faithful. Right? That's what that so when people say groyper or whatever, I'm not thinking of like, oh, these the stereotype that's been made, like these crazy Nazi teenagers or whatever. It's like that's not the reality of the situation. Now, in terms of Christian nationalism, as I say, I think it's a really great term for the right wing to galvanize around, right? Because it's kind of separating the people that don't have those Christian values, right? It's separating the frat boy, barstool conservatism and these libertarians and stuff like that. Because even if it's Christian nationalism and it's not specifically Catholic nationalism, the people that are considering themselves Christian nationalists still temporally want what we want politically. They want Jesus Christ center. They want Christian values maintained. They're against homosexual marriage, transgender stuff. They're against abortion. They're against all the degeneracy that we see now, this blasphemy and profanity and stuff like that. And all of that good stuff is obviously derived from Catholicism. Anything good within any Protestant denomination that they've maintained is what they've maintained from Catholicism, right? Because Protestantism really has no foundation in and of itself. It's just theological liberalism. So when you see Protestants that have these values, these historical Christian values, it's because they have maintained it from Catholicism. So I think that, like you said, this type of ecumenism where we can align with people that maybe aren't necessarily on the same page with us in terms of everything theologically, that they can coalesce around a singular movement that wants to push the country in a singular direction. And then once that happens, then we could wean out our differences and, you know, make everything more Catholic and stuff like that. And obviously that doesn't mean that we still can't talk about what is the true faith and like correct error and stuff like that. But we have to have some nuance and pragmatism in terms of our current political goals, right?
Well, and what's cool is, I mean, that's what ecumenism is. Like everyone, we need to understand that the definition of ecumenism that the church has is reconciling our separated brethren with the church. It's bringing them back. Like, you know, this was happening with like the Lambeth conferences that happened in like the 1920s with like Anglicans, was literally so that the Anglicans would become Catholic, and many did, right? Or like the Oxford movement, right? That even preceded that, which was very ecumenical and saw like a ton of Anglicans like join the church and become literally some of the best Catholics of all time. In fact, literally the majority of those Anglicans became the most staunch, hardcore ultramontanists you could ever like imagine. Like Cardinal Manning literally gave a sermon calling the Italian Freemason troops like antichrists and stuff like that. So it's like the fruits of ecumenism are evangelization. They're not two separate roads, they're the same. And ecumenism is just simply talking about where we might already be at with that person, right? Like there's many Protestants who hate contraception. Blessed be God, that's awesome. Or like many Eastern Orthodox that are like, like I see the Petrine charism in like the early church and stuff like that. I maybe am just not fully ironed out on like what the details and how that looks. And you like talk to them enough and stuff like that, and they're like, okay, I'm seeing it. And like, the EO dude will be like, oh, so I can literally basically do everything I'm doing now and just be Eastern Catholic. Okay. And then like the Protestant dude is like, oh, like Catholics actually like love the Bible even more than we do. And like, I literally compiled it. You know what I mean? Like I love scripture. And so they literally become like Stephen Ray, who used to be a Baptist and is now like one of the best biblical scholars like out there, like Scott Hahn, who was a Presbyterian minister. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a super chat from Super Heavy Booster. Says, God bless. Love you guys. Love you too, buddy. Thank you for the super chat. Buddy. Much appreciated. Also, please send us money, as always. I wanted to read these Wignat people that were complaining about Christian nationalism. So our boy Eric Stryker, this little... I don't know what he is. The guy with the very weird. It's not even just physiognomy. It's total bodyonomy. What's the word for like his whole shape? It's not a regular human shape. I don't know. It's like an alien is like just trying. Dysgenic is just facial features, isn't it? Oh. I don't know. He's like. I want to say body dysmorphia, but he has a dysmorphic body. Not body dysmorphia. He has a dysmorphic body. It's not the correct proportions.
He's got some like Curious George I don't know what, like, going on.
There was this one. Somebody made a GIF of him like going on stage to give a speech, and like his chest comes first, and then his stomach follows, and then his head. It just like he's like an amoeba. Just coming up. It's not natural proportions.
Wait, we have to give your best imitation of that GIF.
I don't. Gotta put the hairline.
Untether your neck.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a turkey, like some type of wild bird. So all love though. I hope he becomes Catholic.
Yeah, absolutely. But I, in all seriousness, I will be praying for his conversion. I hope he becomes our brother in Christ one day.
Right. Maybe that'll fix his body. All right. So he says. Would Christian nationalists really prefer to live in the most religious country in the Western Hemisphere, Haiti, over atheist Iceland? How about states with the most churchgoers, Alabama and Mississippi, over comparatively godless Vermont and Maine? I don't believe them. Holy retard alert. Like, go ahead, you can go first.
This is always the dichotomy they say. Well, you either have to live in a completely non-white but religious nation, or you have to live with your own, but it being atheist. How about no? How about we literally don't do either? Like what? Like this is a stupid hypothetical that doesn't even exist. You know what I mean? And like there are majority white religious areas. Now, again, they're the wrong religion, but like Utah, right? Like Utah is extremely religious. I mean, there's a reason I said, to Kai before our discussion, like, I grew up with a lot of, Aryan Mormons, like the football players that literally looked like they'd be like on a like, poster, to I don't know, for the military in like 1914 or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like they always like to present this dichotomy because what it's trying to do is it's trying to get you to choose one or the other. Now, of course, I just will be honest. I'll be straight up. Faith is more important to me than race. Yep. Crucify me for saying that, say I'm a cuck or whatever. I don't care. I care about my faith way more than I do about my race. But that being said, in the Catholic faith, it's not like those two, you're acting like those two things are conflicting with one another, and it's a false conflict, mm-hmm. right? Like, why did Pope Francis go to the Italian people and say, like, y'all need to like to the gentleman, like y'all need to move out of your mama's basement and start marrying these girls and getting them pregnant and stuff like that. And he went to Viktor Orban and said, like so many children, your policy has worked.
Hmm.
Like Pope Francis loves and cares about his white children and his black children and all the races of the earth, right? It's like it's such a like gay, like, Nat Sock, Nazbol, whatever the hell they are, cope to just be like, well, you have to choose between your race, boy, or your religion. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, dude.
I wanted to break it down a little bit. So would Christian nationalists really prefer to live in the most religious country in the Western Hemisphere, Haiti, over atheist Iceland? And this is like the common thing. It's like, oh, well, if you had to choose between living in an all-white country or an all-Christian non-white country, which would you prefer? And it's like neither, like because regardless, I wouldn't be around my people, right? Like
Literally.
if I went to a white country that wasn't Christian, then okay, we're white, but okay, what does that mean? Like you go to Iceland, it has advertisements portraying Christ as a transgender person. It's the most gay country in the world. It has one of the highest abortion rates in America, right? These people obviously don't care about abortion and liberalism and stuff like that. So no, I wouldn't want to live in Iceland around all of this degeneracy, just like I wouldn't want to live in Haiti because that's not my culture. I don't speak their language, right? And you're saying that they're Christian. Why? Because the people are nominally Christian? That's not what we're talking about when we talk about Christian nationalism. We're talking about Christianity in every facet of power and influence, including the government.
Yes.
We want our government controlled by Christian radicals that want to implement Christian policies and maintain Christian morality. That's what we mean by a Christian nation, not Mexico because they're culturally Catholic or something along those lines. That's not what we mean by Christian nationalism. So that is just a false dichotomy. That's not the only option. That's like you say, oh, reject the false dichotomy of Republicanism and Democrat. Embrace the third position. Okay, embrace the third position of the true third position, which is Christian nationalism. All right. Okay, how about
embrace the true third position?
Yeah, facts.
Third positionists be out here like, bro, embrace the third position. Dude, I already have, okay?
Auth is blowing up the chat right now. Dude, stop. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to my phone. I don't know why you got banned. Talk to Jimmy Aiken Appreciator. He says that you keep mentioning the Cuban girl or whatever. The only reason we didn't ban you is because we're the only good influence on you. We understand that, but you keep breaking the rules. You listen, I have over 1,000 people banned from my chat, and I have banned people for far less than the nonsense you do. We have to say to stop, and you get banned like once a day. Nobody else in the history of my chat has done that. Once they're banned, they usually stay banned, right? So we've given you more than enough chances, right? I'm open for you to be in the chat because I really think that we're the only decent influence in your life because of all the stuff you go through, and I'm not trying to like air you out on live stream or whatever, but dude, you need to like stop, bro. You need to stop simping, stop using excessive profanity. Every time I check my chat once in a while, because I check my chat once in a while, and you're saying like S my D and stuff like that, like that's not cool. Like it's a Catholic chat. Like stop with that stuff, all right? But anyway, okay, yeah. So what do you say? Okay, how about states with the most churchgoers? Alabama and Mississippi. Those are great states, aren't they? What's wrong? What's wrong with Alabama and Mississippi? I'd rather live there than New York.
Yeah, seriously.
Over comparatively godless Vermont and Maine. I don't even know if Vermont and Maine are godless, and I would say that that's first of all, like I said, there is no Christian state just because the people there are not the main thing that makes a state or a nation Christian. Just because, like, you can have an atheist-run state that allows Christianity, but then you have the policies that allow all other degeneracy. So maybe you have 70% Christians and then 30% degeneracy, but the degenerates are all in power. So now you're saying, oh, well, look how many Christians we have, yet we're still promoting all of this nonsense. That's not the nation I want to live in either. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Vermont and Maine are great places to go, but I would also say that that's not just because it's white people and it's atheism. Like, are you saying that it's because of atheism that it's a good place, or it's because they're only white? I think it's also because of demographics plays a large part in it, but it's also because of the actual like geography and the population density and things of that nature that contribute to the factors of that. But no, I wouldn't care about like in terms of what state I want to live in. I want to live in a state that the policies and the people are most in line with Catholicism. That's what I would say, probably.
I would agree. And, again, it's just, it's poor, policy. Because, like, I mean, like I said, like, South Dakota has a substantial white population that's very Catholic, right? they're doing a great job.
Who does?
Kansas,
What does?
South Dakota, or like Kansas, or like there's a ton of Midwest states that are very, very white and very Catholic too. So again, it's like he'll brush over those, but then he'll be like, well, these black states are very religious, but then these white states are very atheist. Which one do you choose? And it's like, dude, come on, man.
And honestly, I don't want to live around either non-Catholics or whites or non-whites. I don't want to live around anybody. I hate people in general. Like I've become a total introvert. I want to live literally like in the middle of a woods in a cabin, like just piling up legal firearms and just go to mass, and that's the only time I leave my house. And I want the requirement I have to drive at least 5 miles to see another living, breathing human being. Like that's where I'm at. All right, so it's not even about like what type of people I want to live around. The type of people I want to live around are no people. All right, that's the type of people I want to see. People when I go on cruises. Actually, they don't even have to be on the cruise ship with me. Just have the little Chinese people that do washy when you go to the food court on the cruise, and just me and my family are the only people on the cruise. So PaxTube. I don't know who this person is. Somebody shared one of his things in my chat, so I don't know if he's a Wignat or what his things are. He seems to be embracing Catholicism, which is good from what I'm seeing.
Oh, he is Catholic.
Okay. So he says, I have arguments against Christian nationalism for more practical reasons. Firstly, Christianity is an extremely broad term and covers anything from Catholicism to insane fringe denominations to blah, blah, blah. That's not what we're talking about, obviously.
That's not what we're talking
about. Father James Martin and Joel Osteen are not calling themselves Christian nationalists, all right? No. That's not the type of Christian we're talking about, clearly, so that's not even a valid argument. These denominations are not equal in value nor merit, so why do we treat them? We don't. Okay. Secondly,
we don't.
Christians.
We're not indifferentist either. Like, I mean, literally, Nick on stream has been like to like Protestants that like blaspheme against Mary, been like, okay, well, you're going to hell. Like, he doesn't even downplay. Like, that's why I like him. He doesn't even downplay his Catholicism. He's like perfectly out and about Catholic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was on an interview a couple months ago or whatever, and the girl was like, oh, you're Catholic, right? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, are you? She was like, no, I'm Christian, but I'm Protestant. And he was like, oh, that sucks, I'll pray for you, or something like that. So yeah, which that's literally like the main reason that I started supporting Nick, because like I said in my story, like when I first heard about Nick, when I first saw stuff, I wasn't a fan of him or whatever. As I became more Christian and embracing Christianity, that is really what attracted me to him, besides like obviously his oratory abilities and his ability to basically just talk and articulate dissident right-wing talking points in such a palatable way. It was more so that everything that he was trying to accomplish in his platform was centered on Jesus Christ, right? And specifically Catholicism. Okay, secondly, Christian sects have extreme differences over theology that would make legislating laws difficult. What would be our stance on race? What would be our stance on divorce? What would be our stance on LGBT, on women's rights? With all of these issues, the answer varies widely depending what branch of Christianity you follow. That said, all of this would be solved if all Christians converted to Catholicism. I agree with that last part, or whatever, but like
that's literally what we're calling for, essentially. Like when we say Christian nationalism, I mean, well, Catholics are really the only real Christians.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just Catholic nationalism.
It's like it's semantics and lack of nuance. Like yes, obviously we're going to have different theological debates, but as I said, everybody that's calling themselves a Christian nationalist are right-wing people, right? So we're not talking about the like the extreme like LGBT women preacher type or whatever that are going to like be promoting this and that's what we're going to implement in our policies. No, just from a broader sense, right-wing Christian nationalism, gay marriage would be illegal, abortion would be illegal, like all of these social issues that we are in agreement with would be legal. And that's a good segue into getting the ultimate goal of what we want, which is fundamental Catholic morality as law of the land, right? So this is a stepping point towards that, right? We can unite around Christian nationalism to use that as a stepping stone to get to the ultimate goal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but I like a lot of PaxTube. Like PaxTube makes some great videos and stuff like that. But I've noticed with him, it's just like he kind of like unnecessarily like counter signals AF and stuff like that. And I don't know why.
People in the chat were saying he is AF. I literally, I don't know. I've literally never heard of him.
I don't think he is though. I think he's written like, cause like there's a ton of these guys like online, like some of that, like neo-reactionary guys and stuff like that who are our brothers in Christ and stuff like that, or Catholic, but then they'll like unnecessarily like counter signal AF and stuff like that. Like I really like a lot of the distributists stuff. Like he has some great stuff and some really good takes. But then it's like he started just like making fun of Nick, and he's like, "Oh, is this post ironic enough?" And I'm like, "Bro, like why? Like why are you doing this? You're just shooting yourself in the foot." And this is what I criticized. I think actually one of our earlier episodes where I was like, it's like these people like want this perfect like mythical leader or something, and then it's like when we got a guy like Nick who's like gonna give us everything that we want, they're just like, well, I'm gonna find this innocuous little thing that I don't like about him. Or my ideal politics is me just sitting in my library and reading about political theory all day. It's like you're never going to implement it, dude, if there's not boots on the ground. You know what I mean?
Yep, so true. Yeah, I think that it's just people just lack any type of pragmatism whatsoever, and they just want to jump from one extreme to the other or whatever. And that was like that was always my thing too. It's like at a certain point I was like I said, I was like an accelerationist or whatever, like a cringe libertarian, like, oh, the government hates us and we need to destroy the government and vote against our goals or whatever, so that things get so bad that there's a mass awakening or whatever. But like the reason I got to that point was because there was no like nuance, right? There was no somebody that was like saying like the people that were saying like, oh, race is real or whatever were also the people doing like Zig Heils and like wearing swastikas and obsessing about race. And then the complete other side was like the normie cons who were talking about the Constitution and the GDP and all this stuff. And it seemed like there was like nowhere like okay, race is real, but I don't idolize race. Some of the stuff that normie cons are saying is true, but they're cucks and they worship Israel and all this stuff or whatever. And it's like there's no middle ground or whatever. And I feel like that happens to like so many people, even in terms on smaller issues, right? Like oh, Christian nationalism? No, we need Catholic nationalism. It's like, obviously, bro, but we live in America. We need a more nuanced way and a stepping stone to gradually get to what we want, right?
We do. And we're not promoting like Les Sillon or something in like France where we're like, well, dude, we're all Christian and hippy dippy. It's like, no, we want to make the Protestants and Eastern Orthodox that are marching alongside us Catholic. But the way that we do that is we don't alienate them and just say like, shut up, you're stupid, go over here. It's like we're in this movement with them and we discuss with them and we hopefully have them reconcile and become Catholic, you know?
Big facts. Yeah. So definitely Catholic nationalism, all the way. Oh, this guy, dude, this auth guy is something else, bro. So they're having like a fight in my cozy chat right now. Auth wants to get unbanned. Everybody's telling him to stop LARPing as a Catholic. He's saying, LARP, I am Catholic. I've done the sacraments, blah, blah. It's like, bro, how many times do we have to explain this to you, dude? Like, you claiming that you're Catholic and, like, going to Mass every Sunday, that's great. But that's not all Catholicism entails. It's about living the faith and living a Catholic life. And you constantly do things that are antithetical to the Catholic faith, with who you associate yourself with, the things you say, the vulgarity you use. And, yo, you know where we're from, Specs, so we're both from New York. You know how we talk, bro. It's not an excuse, dude. All right? So you really need to, like, start taking our advice or whatever. King Nub in chat, O3s, where is it? O3s to King Nub. He says, you guys are my favorite Catholics. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, brother.
Yo, I don't know if you saw, but I shared your video of you in the abortion protest or whatever. That was awesome. This dude literally by himself walked into a group of abortion protests, just surrounded himself in like a sea of these radical liberals and was just mogging them. It was awesome.
Let's go.
And I didn't know King Nub meant he actually was missing a hand. And then I saw a bunch of pictures of him, and then I saw clips that people were posting. I didn't know that he didn't have a hand.
Well, nobody knows. In my garage right now, I'm forging King Nub, the basically Catholic Infinity Gauntlet, but it's got like saint relics like everywhere. So like King Nub will come up and he'll like snap his fingers, and suddenly this nation, like suddenly like Our Lady of Guadalupe will be on like every like billboard and stuff like that. It's just gonna happen, dude. Like, don't tell anybody, but you know,
awesome.
It's between me and him. No.
So how are you doing? How are you on time? What do you want to do? You want to end it, or you want to do a call-in show?
We can do some call-ins. That sounds great with me.
All right, awesome. We are going to do a call-in show. It's going to be at t.me/spexochat. If one of the mods wants to link that, You can come in and we'll talk for a little while if anybody wants to join. Hold up, let me start it. I guarantee Auth is going to join. Mike Van. Okay, so mute yourself here and then just join this thing.
Yo.
Mike Van.
Bruh.
Jimmy Aiken Appreciator, what's up?
Bruh, this off guy really tests my patience. You know, I feel like I'm
tired of this thing,
Absolutely.
man.
He keeps
It
coping.
was rude
I'm
to
like,
you.
bro, you can't smoke weed for the boys. And he's like, but do I buy it, Nibba? Like, that's not
Oh.
the problem.
Yeah, I smoke weed, but I don't buy it, so it's okay. I didn't inhale.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't
I
smoke
bought-
it
yeah.
on the Dale. He smokes it once a week, bro.
Oh my
It's-
goodness.
Yeah, Hunter Biden brought me the crack, but I don't smoke it.
Wait, he said he smokes weed once a week?
Yo, yeah, like every other week or something. I don't know. I'm like, bro, it's still a mortal sin. You can't do that.
I don't like him, but I feel bad for him. He's literally like a broken person.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
everyone's saying
It's really
I'm
annoying. I'm
cucked
really
because I
mad.
keep everyone's saying I'm cucked because I keep on banning him. Like
No, you're not
Jesus Christ himself says, Luke 17:3-5, that you should forgive someone who sins against you and repents 7 times a day. So if he's being genuine, I'm gonna believe he's being genuine. You know, I'm not gonna assume
I know.
ill will on his behalf. That that might mean that that he's gonna keep screwing up and failing. But like I'm giving him a bunch of chances, and I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah, there's
You know?
something endearing about him, right? Because like I said, he's been following me for like 2 years. He's been doing the same exact thing.
2 years?
Even more. He's been following me on Instagram. I think he might have even been following me on Instagram prior to me like openly supporting AF. He might have been even back when
I
was,
think
like-
he said.
Yeah. What?
I think he said he knew about Big Daddy Trump.
Yeah, if
Which
Big
is-
Daddy Trump was like 4.5 years ago, right? That's insane. So he's been like following me for a really long time, and he used to DM me on Instagram and was doing the same Star Wars LARPy stuff that he does now, or whatever. So then he joins this chat, and like I have like a soft spot for him, and like I said, everything in his life is just like bad influence on him, and like we're the only people that are putting him in any right direction. And we've had a little bit of progress. We've gotten him to go to confession and stuff and like whatever, but he keeps like relapsing into that same behavior. So I understand both sides that want to ban him and that want to keep him in. You know, I don't know, I fall really in the middle. I really have not really been active in my chat, so I'm gonna leave it up to you guys, but that's like my take on it.
Well, Spexy, can I unban him so he can join the VC?
Yeah, you
Oh
can-
gosh.
No.
I think. Listen, I
Well,
love
if you want
Oz. He's
Spexy, bro,
content too. You know, he's just a.
But, like,
So,
if he
Spec, I'm gonna
goes
scream.
crazy, I'll
Lolcow.
kick him. I'll kick him. He is a lolcow, but
Okay.
he's our lolcow.
okay,
I
chat,
like. I'm,
chat. If you can hear me, chat. If he starts doing his Star Wars LARP, this is Static speaking. I'm gonna
Bro, did you see
scream.
him in the chat? He was going, Spec, so I need you. You're my only hope. And I was like, I didn't realize it a second until he said it the second time. And I was like, that's a freaking Star Wars reference.
I love you, and I need
Bro,
you.
half of
If
my
I-
DMs before I blocked him were
I-
Jimmy VC. Jimmy, help me out, man. Jimmy, I need some help, man. Jimmy,
Bro,
start
me
it
too.
up,
He
bro.
DMs me, bro. He's DMing me. I'm like, not even, I have no idea what's going on in the chat. I haven't checked my phone in hours. And he's like, dude, I need your help. Can you please help me? Please unban me. I was removed again. And I was like, bro, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, hold on.
Dude,
Spexo,
if
bro,
he
can
goes
we
to
talk? Spexo,
half-pack,
bro, can we talk, please? Spexo. Just over and over again.
dude, if he appears in half-pack 4, he's gonna get flamed by everybody.
Dude,
I
so
already know he
true.
is.
I mean, I don't
He'll
think
get flamed by
I think
Bone.
I don't think he knows. I don't think a lot of people know of him except for people in my chat. So
He said he
Imagine.
wasn't gonna go to AFPAC unless he had like I don't
Crew?
even know
Unless
what
he had-
car he said, like a Hellcat or something.
One of his,
He's like, I'm
one of
not
his-
gonna go unless I can pull up and turn heads.
oh my goodness, dude. What did the best quote was I don't cry, I drive.
Hey, listen. At least he's better. At least he's better
No,
than Vince
the best
Dow,
quote is-
okay?
The best quote he ever had was, "I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I speed." But he does the first three.
Listen. Even though I don't like him, he's more redeemable than Vince Dow. Let's be honest.
True.
Oh wait, hold on. What was that? We
Well-
made it almost 3 minutes without politics being brought up. Good job, Static. That was great. Good job. 3 whole minutes. Sure, let's talk about American virtue and how cringe that whole thing is. And did you see somebody was leaking stuff about like of of Vince Dow like making out with a girl drunk or something. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh.
Yeah, it was an e-girl.
Is that real? Is it?
Was
that
it a
real, or is that
video?
just like
Was it like a
Yep.
video or was it like a freaking?
No,
Video.
they're claiming it's Vince Dow. I don't know the full story, but I know that there was pictures and people that were at like the after party for American Virtue. I think Tyler Russell's not the one that posted that, but Tyler Russell was talking about how like Carlson or David Carlson or whatever his name is, the fetal alcohol syndrome guy, was like super drunk and like physically assaulted him or something, and then Vince Dow was there. So I think somebody that was at that after party or whatever videotaped Vince Dow making out with some like ugly girl or something, and he was also drunk. So that's somebody posted a meme too in my chat too. It was like Vince Dow claims that America First isn't Christian, and then drinks to excess and makes out with some e-girl, like and fornicates. Like it's
Also-
ridiculous.
Also, supposedly he was cucked by like a black guy. Supposedly,
He was
and at that cucked.
well, like some
like he-
black guy came and just stole his girl.
Yeah, and supposedly rumored it's like he brought his girlfriend in quotes to the back. Is he like, stop jerking off my friends? Stop it.
What?
I was like,
what?
Oh.
No, like meaning
Yeah,
like
let's maintain some prudence with the way we speak. But did he really say that?
what? That's what the rumor is. It's not confirmed.
Oh my!
but
Well, yeah, I don't want to spread anything false or whatever. Let's go by the facts that we have. But yeah,
Meaning-
the whole
meaning
thing
like,
is I get what you're
yeah,
saying, but the
yeah.
whole thing is just completely cringe, dude. Like I was honestly completely neutral on them for super long, right? Like I wasn't following them or anything like that, but I was like, whatever. If they're Christians and they're trying to do their own thing, whatever. I don't really care, or whatever. But once they made that Protestant video about like, oh, America is how Protestantism created America and all that stuff, and we're basically like shilling for Protestantism and stuff like that. And then like that guy Carlson Wolf was like subtweeting Nick, making fun of like virgins and stuff like that, and basically promoting like premarital sex or whatever. I was like, all right, these guys are F words for homosexuals.
Yes, yeah. Like I heard Carson Wolf's parents are like loaded with money.
Chandler Crump is in the video too. I don't know who that is. Who's Chandler Crump?
I have no idea who he is.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Retards in chat are like, why'd you unban Oth? You know, I love the guy.
We
Not
are
ashamed of it.
you too much. I am on the side of. I know that you've known him for a long time, but I feel like having a time away from the chat is like, when are we going to draw the line? It's like with him sitting and getting away with doing all this stuff. Like,
Is PineSap muted in the Telegram chat? I think he's muted.
He has to unmute himself. He's just
here.
soaking it in, soaking everything in.
Hey,
Wait, have you been
PineSap,
talking this whole time,
like
PineSap?
high clips.
Hey,
No,
PineSap,
I haven't
wanna
been
ask you-
talking at all. I was posting the link to our chat on my Instagram.
Oh, all right. I didn't.
Hey,
Sorry if I
PineSap,
was
since you
talking over
went,
you or
since you
something.
came back from the Catholic conference, what did you think about what's his name, Father Noland, the FSSP priest that was there?
Oh well, I mean, I can dox. He's my priest or
Oh,
whatever.
he was your priest.
Yeah,
oh, I
he
didn't
is.
realize.
I
didn't
literally
realize.
called him on the phone when I was in Corona isolation and stuff like that. I was like, "Hi, Father Nolan." And he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And just was like to the T and stuff like that. He's awesome, man. He's a great priest.
I only found him because of like YouTube, and I found him because of like his talks about COVID and stuff. I'm like, wow, there's not a lot of priests like him out there. He's like,
There's not. He's
That's
very
awesome, dude.
fiery and very jovial. I didn't realize actually how energetic he was till like this past weekend, and he's just like, he just gets it. He's like on point. He's awesome.
PineSap, somebody
That's
wants to know.
awesome.
They said, are there any sins that can't be forgiven in confession? I heard that some sins require the bishop's approval for forgiveness. I don't.
So if you like
that's a good
punch the
question.
Pope or something, or like deliberate sacrilege of the Eucharist, that those would be sins that would have to be like forgiven by the bishop.
I think Freemasonry too, right?
Maybe that too. Well, actually, I think Freemasonry, your local pastor can forgive you for that one.
Oh, okay. Well, if you were like a 33rd degree Freemason or something, like I can get being like one of those
yeah.
those Friday Freemasons, and you just go there and you like watch Nemo 2 and like I don't know, eat
It's called
spaghetti
Finding
with the
Dory,
boys
actually.
after doing a satanic ritual.
You watch Finding Dory there?
Yeah, that's Finding Dory. Let's not disrespect an amazing masterpiece of cinematic accomplishment.
Sorry, I was thinking about the
Nemo was
Chinese
awesome, bro.
Nemo 2,
Oh,
where it's like a crappy bootleg or something. But
Oh,
like, I think if you were a high-ranking Freemason or like a high-ranking, I don't know, if you were like the head of the Lutheran Church, I don't imagine you could come into the Catholic Church without like talking to the bishop or something.
Oh no,
That's
for
just-
sure.
what about murder? If I murder somebody and I go to the priest and I confess to murder, obviously he's probably going to say like you should admit it or go to and suffer the consequences or whatever. But they have the ability to just absolve you of murder.
Yes.
Really? So
Yeah, they do.
punching the Pope is worse than murder.
Yeah, it is because
Based.
it's really
True.
bad.
True.
Yeah.
Hey, he might be a rapist and a murderer, but at least he never punched the Pope. You know.
Never.
Do non-Americans have permission to be in the chat? Yes, just know your place and know that you're less than us.
Listen here,
Well,
boy.
no. Well, we don't
motion to speak.
those are lower than us.
Oh,
Sorry,
wait,
Pine
wait. Charles
Wait.
was trying to speak. Charles Otto.
If I just for a
Oi.
moment, just because
is that
I
Anglo?
respect it. Yeah, well, not Anglo-Irish, but the point is
Irish, let's go.
the Irish bit. I share that blood with you, Spectre. So
Let's
I was
go.
hoping that perhaps, yeah, you know. But you know, I know my place. You know, I'm a kind of a new bloke here, so yeah.
Let's go. Are you Catholic?
I am indeed not unbaptized, but unconfirmed. Whole of my like almost the entire amount of my family is Catholic. Unfortunately, my personal immediate family, I was raised secular, so I didn't have that upbringing. But I am determined, to completely consecrate myself to the body of Christ.
Let's go. You got
Many
a,
such
Have
cases.
have you
Many
That's
such
the thing,
cases.
God.
That's awesome to hear. God bless. Have you taken any steps to start that process of like RCIA or whatever and getting confirmed?
Oh yes, I'm doing it through my aunt. She wants me to do the process through a proper parish. I've attended mass for the last year, of course, in my locality. But to start the RCIA process, I'm seeking, my family's assistance to that. I think she knows this Polish priest, but it is halfway across the country. But I'm traveling to Canada in the immediate future, so once I get back, that's where I'm going to
Let's go.
officially start that process, and I hopefully, if all goes well, I should be confirmed by next Easter.
Awesome. Good stuff, bro.
Epic. Let's
great.
go.
Yeah, it's good that
Let's
you said
go.
your parents are supporting you, basically, right? To confirm, even though they're not
Yeah,
practicing
well,
Catholics.
they didn't have. They're not. So they're secular, but they never told me, like, they don't have an issue with me converting and stuff and everything. But I didn't have. The only unfortunate thing is I never had that upbringing, of course.
Yeah, no,
But
similar situation to me, and we're both very blessed that like our family like was cool with us converting, because I know a lot of people, Pinesap included too, that had a lot of difficulties like with his family and stuff like that when he wanted to convert to Catholicism. So like when I was first looking into it, my dad, who does not go to church at all, like he used to take my grandma to church when she wanted to go and stuff, and I got him to go once, and he's getting closer. I'm gonna get him to become like a good Catholic again. But like he was like totally like supportive of me when I told him I wanted to convert. He went to the church and talked to the priest and stuff. It was really awesome.
Epic.
and you and your dad have always seemed. I kind of look at that, like the relationship between you two, even like just like photographs of you two together. It always seems so wholesome to me. So that like, I do hope that they.
Two giants among men.
That's right. I can't wait for
Yeah.
AFPAC
So
because we're going for a week. Me, my dad. I'm bringing my wife and kids to Florida. It's gonna be awesome.
Off Axis is gonna be there.
Yeah, Pinesap said he's
Groy
going
Boy's
to.
gonna-
Pinesap told me he's going to AFPAC 4, so I'm gonna put it on stream, so he has to stick to it.
Oh, dude, I
I'm a-
literally, I have to now. I mean, now that I'm a content creator and stuff like that, and I'm not.
Now that
I
you're a
don't
big
wanna say,
shot,
like,
now that you're an e-celebrity, now that you're officially an e-boy.
Yeah,
I'm
now that
a
I'm
celeb.
a celeb, I have to go, man. And my buddy was trying to get me to go this year. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out with my schedule. But like, I really have to go this year.
Base.
I'm
You
so
need a date.
excited. What's up?
I need to too.
Hey, can I ban this guy Rob because he's like being kind of uncharitable, Cardinal Supich? He's like I'm gonna go to my first SSPX mass because of him, and it's
Dude,
like
you're
I
listening,
totally
that's
get
a
that
good
he's
game.
not I don't think he's a good
No, you can't
archbishop
ban
for the
Rob.
archdiocese, but like you can't be saying stuff like that where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna become a SSPX because of him, you know?
Don't
Like,
ban Rob,
here's
but he does need to.
Here's the new rule, all right? Because I have not been very active in my chat lately or whatever, so I don't really know the context of everything that's going on. I'm going to leave it to the moderators to decide who to ban, but I'm going to make the lead moderators are Jimmy Aiken Appreciator, and if he's not available, talk to PineSap about it, and rely on their decision. They'll be my head bishops of the chats, right?
You're the Hitler of this chat, brother.
Yes, but not cringe pagan that builds Protestant churches. But yeah, basically. So go to Jimmy Aiken or PineSap if you want to ban anybody, and I'll allow their decision to stick. Do not ban. I know whatever you guys like hate women and stuff, but like if a girl comes in the chat and she's not breaking any rules or whatever, don't ban her. Try to be charitable to a certain degree.
Damn it!
No!
And also, the girls you are not allowed to ban are Susan, Michelle, and I don't know, some other girl. They're all like boomer. No. They're like in their 50s. They're really.
Wait.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That's okay.
What?
They're moms.
Susan and her son. They've been in my. I made videos with them when I went to the anti-vax rally. I've met them like 4 times. They're and I met them at AFPAC 3 as well. They're really cool. So don't ban them.
We love our Catholic moms. Let's go.
All right. That's true. And also, Rob, if you're listening, don't go to an SSPX mass because the Pope wore an Indian hat and you're mad at Cardinal Cupid. That's
I
incredibly
think he's
deep.
joking, but it's like it's a very uncharitable.
I can never tell with like
you can be scandalizing people.
With Rob and what's that guy's name, Adam Red or whatever. They're very like they have like very sketchy moments in the chat. Like they sometimes they're posting mad good stuff or whatever, and then like they turn into wignats on and off. It's really weird.
That's usually my thing, but
King Nub with the super chat. Thank you, brother. O3's in chat for King Nub. He says, "Bing bong." So true.
Yes, sir.
I see.
we love King
Just
Nubheads.
really quickly, I see a Groiper George in the chat wants me to say top of the morning to you. So
top of the morning to you. I'm just an Irish lad. Me and me Lucky Charms.
Speaking of Ireland, I just thought it would be interesting to, I believe recently a public prayer, at least in certain public places, has been sort of outlawed here. I think
I heard about
if
that.
if your policeman passes by and like sees you praying the rosary outside like an abortion clinic or something like that, I think that's now been outlawed here.
Wait,
I don't know. I heard
praying outside of an abortion clinic has been outlawed.
Yeah, kind of. I'm not sure
exactly
the specifics of what the law is, but I heard it. I just heard it on the stream with like Michael Jones and Gemma O'Doherty or was on Odyssey or something. I just heard of that. I don't actually know everything about it yet, but I thought
I think that was a couple months ago, but I heard about that too because I'm close to some Irish people. And there's been some beautiful things where you see Irish people getting together for public rosaries. And it's like 50 guys, and they're just outside and they're praying the rosary in public, and you can't do that.
Wow. As much
considered like a religious hate crime or something.
Wow. As much as I hate the Constitution and everything about the American government, I will say though that it seems that it's the only thing really protecting that type of activism in America, right? Like that we're freely allowed to be praying and like doing that type of activity outside, because you look at these other European countries where they can have these insane laws that can punish you for just like openly professing your faith, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose European countries in general, they tend to be a lot more statist, and I suppose that's why we do have to have like nuance about things, about kind of the whole I suppose that libertarian aspect of things, like free speech and all that kind of things. I've noticed that I think because of that, Americans on the whole seem to have a lot more fight in them. Europeans are just like it's really depressing because like this is my home and this is where I belong. But like we just seem to be so much more docile over here,
You know that there's 19 European countries that have criminalized Holocaust denial. That like you can literally.
Yeah, one of them.
What?
Like, I
Oh.
wish I wasn't surprised when I heard that, but
That's
like,
insane.
yeah,
So you have to like, which don't get me wrong, I completely submit to the official Holocaust narrative. Exactly 6 million Jews died. Hitler was the boogeyman. All that stuff, whatever. But if you even like say that 5,999,999 Jews died in the Holocaust in some of these European countries and deny any part of the official story with the gas chambers and all that stuff or whatever, then you like could get arrested. Like there's been literal cases. I think Bishop Williamson actually got arrested and got like a big giant fine for
I heard about that. He was in Argentina, which is not in the jurisdiction of the European Union at all. He was like preaching in South America, but because he's a British citizen, they literally extradited him from Argentina to the UK to try him for Holocaust denial.
so crazy.
You know,
Do they have
like
similar
what?
rules for like Holodomor and like the Cambodian genocide and stuff like that, or it's just the Holocaust?
It's just the Holocaust.
Wow,
I think in Armenia
Yeah,
you
it's
can't
just,
deny the
that's
Armenian
crazy.
genocide though, but it's like it's not even comparable with any other genocide. But by the way, sorry Spexo, I know you're like trying to be woke, but Seth Rogen said it was 7 million.
Oh wow! Somebody just
so-
posted 11 million too.
Wait.
Somebody, some like
Wait.
some cock Republican lady said that like 11 million Jews died in the Holocaust or whatever. I noticed there's never like an uproar when you say more than 6 million. There only seems to be a controversy when somebody suggests that there might be less, which is very, very weird. So.
Well, you know what? I'm going to spit in the face of my government right now and
All right,
say,
actually,
yeah,
we
the
should probably
Holocaust is
change
fake.
the topic before I get myself in trouble. Because I
The
just
Holocaust
can't
is
help
fake.
myself.
Suck it, Canadian government.
I disavow that statement.
Mm.
Oh, who else is in it?
Look, it may have happened, but it definitely wasn't
Yeah.
6 million.
All right, hey, all right. We're not. Change
All right,
subject,
all right.
subject.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
Stop.
Come on, big
Kidding.
guy.
I've always found Jews to be forthright
Shut it
and
down.
honest with
Shut it
military motives.
down.
They were the good guys in World War II.
Wait,
Red
dude,
Deer.
James Rossiter's always around Jewish people? What?
What? No, I've always found Jews to be forthright and
I
honest
can't
with
mention
military
anything around
motives.
these people,
What are you on
bro.
about?
Static is a
Let's
Jew.
move
I'm about
on.
to end the chat. I'm about to end the chat. You guys gotta stop.
Steinstaff is Mormon? What?
Wait. Static.
We are also
Wait,
on
hold on a
YouTube. We are
minute.
also on
Static
YouTube.
is
You're gonna
Coptic
get banned.
Orthodox? No.
What? No, I would never.
Also, let's see if
Coptic Orthodox
some of these
static, no.
quiet people want to talk.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of people
Yeah.
here.
Sean,
Yeah.
Rocky, Joey Decay, Hawking Regime, El Tonto.
Yeah, do you guys have
Anybody-
questions or something?
Anybody with
or-
questions or?
Oh, real quick, El Tonto, you got to do the CAPTCHA if you want to speak. I don't think you did that last time, so that's why we didn't ban you. It's just it auto kicks you if you don't do the CAPTCHA.
It's a good add-on, honestly. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. But it's so gay that these you saw all these Q bots now. Every time I make a post, a bunch of Q bots post and they say things like "wait for it" or like I don't know, "are you ready?" And then like 2 minutes later, it
Trump
changes
is
to
turning Sunday, July 31st. It's real, you know.
what? That's tomorrow.
It's real.
That's like 24 hours. That's awesome. Trump's gonna be president tomorrow.
Dude,
So real.
Dude, what?
Mike
He's already
Lindell
got
comes
control of
out.
the military, dude. What?
He comes out with his My Pillows. It's 80% off.
I wonder if
My
anybody
pillow is
has
30% off.
any of you ever tried messaging those people on Telegram, like the bots that are like, "Oh, I have a reputed doctor that can get you a vaccine card. DM for more information."
Yeah.
You know what I did? I responded to the one of them by linking. Yeah, I got my card at youtube.com/c/tm7 productions.
Based.
No,
I
that's
love-
real. If
I
you
love-
go to TM7, if you go to youtube.com/TM7 Productions, you can get a free vaccine card.
That's
He has
so-
a whole
that
guide
is
and
real.
everything. It's called
Yeah.
Joker.
Mods, link that in the code chat, please. Yeah, I love when Jimmy does that because like he'll get me sometimes too. Like somebody will ask like a theological question. He's like, "Yeah, actually, Father Bernard had a great discussion on this. I was recently watching his lecture. You can find it here." And then he links TM7.
So-
Thoughts? Yeah, someone's like thoughts on Jay Dyer, and I'm like, yeah, he did a good video with TM7 on the JQ. Here's a link.
Hey, Spexo, the most important question of the day. When is Milo coming on the show?
Yeah, I don't know. He said that when we get more established. He was in the chat before.
More established. Coming from
More
an Anglo,
established?
huh?
I mean, coming from a guy who,
Well, I honestly think. Well, I told him that we don't even have to have like a debate. I would just like interview him about like overcoming like homosexuality and like his story and stuff. I think it would be just an interesting interview. I told him that we don't even have to like discuss like his position on like the Pope and resist and stuff and SSPX or whatever. But I think that he doesn't want it to devolve into that. So maybe that's why he's a little like hesitant to come on or whatever. But I assured him that if he wants to come on, we won't even bring that up or whatever. You know, I think
he's probably.
I like Milo a lot.
Yeah,
He's probably busy too.
he's a good dude.
Very awesome, dude. I'm really happy he's like a Catholic now instead of like even when he was cringe, he was still actually funny. At least he was very funny.
Yeah, he was
guy,
like the same people that like I was watching during like my pipeline, like with Ben Shapiro, Stefan Molyneux, Steven Crowder, all those people. I was definitely into him. I remember I read his book Dangerous or whatever it was in like 2017 or 16 or something like that. So yeah, I mean I've known about him for a while.
yeah.
It was really crazy when he started like posting my stuff, and then I met him at AFPAC, and he like knows who I am. It's really weird.
Hey, I wanted to ask you something about a couple saints or one of the Orthodox saints that the Orthodox depicts or like looks up to. Do you know? You probably know who he is, Saint Alexei Nevsky, or like a Russian saint or whatever.
Nevsky, is it?
Wait.
Nevsky.
Who are you talking about?
Saint
I know.
Alexander Nevsky.
I don't know who he is.
He's like a
I
Russian
believe
Orthodox saint.
He was like Prince of Novgorod or something. He had there was like a crusade of the Teutonic Knights in it was like early 13th century or something. He was like this like hero who had defeated, you know, I think the Teutonic Knights tried to take Novgorod. It's something of that sort.
Yo, there's a movie called, I just got an advertisement on YouTube. There's a movie called Mary Magdalene starring Rooney Mara, who's like a really famous actress. I wonder if it's blasphemous or if it's based. 2018.
Oh, I saw it. You know who plays Jesus in that movie?
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix? Wow.
Yeah, I like.
Gosh.
I don't think it's blasphemous. I just think it was a bad casting.
Well, this
role. I was like,
I don't know. This screenshot that they're using looks very sexual and does not look like when she's getting baptized and like I guess Christ is holding her. That does not look appropriate.
yeah.
The worst one is the last.
The Last Temptation. That every copy of that damn movie needs to be burned.
And that's why.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It has Willem Dafoe playing our Lord, and like there's scenes where our Lord is like sexually tempted or something.
What?
And that's completely blasphemous.
It's worse. No, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. It's worse than that.
It's worse than that. They literally have our Lord in that movie saying that like,
dude, don't even say it. I wouldn't even say it.
It's that bad. Don't say it in a vulgar way, but like, just I'm curious.
No. There's no. I wasn't gonna say anything like cursing. I just was saying like they have our Lord saying in there that like he doesn't want to like give himself up for the world and stuff like that, like doubting his own mission.
Nah, it's worse than that. That's bad, but it's worse than that. Like
I don't know what you're referring to.
Harvey Keitel, Barbara Hershey.
He's in a polygamous relationship with two women.
Pretty sure none of those people are Catholic, so I don't know.
Let's see who the producer was.
Did you see the movie?
Let's see who the producer.
Did I see what movie?
Did you see The Last Temptation of Christ?
No, because I refused to watch it. It was one of the last books actually placed on the Index of Forbidden Books.
Really?
Yeah.
Did like, because Martin Scorsese, he's Italian, and obviously, I'm guessing he's not a practicing Catholic if he made that movie. But like,
he's a blasphemous Catholic. I don't even like really Silence. I think Silence is a lame movie. I'm popular opinion. I don't like Silence.
Yeah, I was hearing that.
He apostatizes from the faith.
Black
it's
Swan.
like rather than dying, like
Black.
So the theme of Silence is that you can apostatize from the faith, because other people are suffering, and then if you repent at the end, it's okay. That's not how it works. I mean, even if you genuinely repented at the end, like, you're still damaging your soul each time you sin. That's why purgatory exists, you know? Because even if you're forgiven of the sin, even if you have a repentant heart, that's why what Constantine did, waiting until his death to get baptized, was a bad thing. Because even if you have a repentant heart and you're cleansed of your sin, you still have the stain of the sin on your soul, you know? And that needs to be worked out, you know? it takes time to cleanse yourself of these things. I've repented of like lustful thoughts dozens of times, you know? It's been years since I've done lustful things, right? But those thoughts still exist. And if it's not on earth, it's going to have to be purged in fire after death, you know? And so it's like the whole theme of that movie is completely blasphemous because it's lying to people and saying that they can go straight to heaven if they like betray Jesus 99% of their life and repent for it at the end. It's like in Family Guy when Osama bin Laden's about to get killed and he's like, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Go straight to heaven. You know?
I mean, okay, so this is my take on it. So from my perspective, somebody's mic is like on. I think it's definitely Mike Van because his mic is always messed up. There you go. So my perspective on that movie is that it showed like these people were obviously the majority of the people were willing to die for their faith, and that was something that was very honorable, right? And these priests went to go look for this other priest, knowing what they were risking and that they could be killed. And the guy that kept apostatizing and stepping on the icons or whatever, and then asking forgiveness, he did it like three times, and then you saw the priest was like conflicted with himself, like he's repenting. Should I keep forgiving this, right? And then the priest was willing to risk his own life for the faith, but it wasn't until they threatened to kill other people that he reluctantly did it to save other people's life, which isn't good, obviously, but it was also a conflicted nature of himself. And even though he like technically apostatized and did all that stuff, at the end you see that he never truly lost his faith, which, while I think you could derive mixed messages from that or whatever, I don't see that as trying to push any agenda. I think it was coming from a very like human perspective of like the struggles these types of people faced, you know? Like obviously, of course, I would have liked it better if he never apostatized and would have just like continued doing it even if they were going to kill everybody or whatever. But like I thought it was still a well-made movie. I thought there was a lot of good aspects of it, so I don't know if I would say that it was like technically blasphemous or anything. What was your problems with it, Ponsa?
Well, I mean, my problem is that it depicts like apostatizing as like a good thing. Like there are certainly beautiful moments in the movie where like the Japanese Catholics are on like crucifixes and they're like saying the Our Father prayer as like waves are drowning them. That's like certainly admirable, but Martin Scorsese is kind of like, the way that I think about it, he's in the league with like all the like heretics that are like, oh, this is like an alternative way of depicting the faith or a different way of viewing things. And that different way of viewing things is always a way of trying to make light out of darkness, and it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because Satan doesn't make anything, he just corrupts. So if it's like if Martin Scorsese can make it look like a bad thing is a good thing, it's like it corrupts people's faith, and I think is just damaging. I understand what you're saying about like there needs to be a human aspect, and I think we can do that in a way that's completely orthodox. Like, you know, St. Andrew Wooters being like an adulterer, and then like I'd love to see a movie made of him, but like the whole point was that like he was always kind of like a bad Catholic, but like in the end of his story, like he chose his faith over his sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that it portrays apostatizing as a good thing, because what it shows is a tyrannical government that are basically trying to force these people against their faith and then just murdering them if they don't. And it shows how honorable and how faithful they remain till the end when they're getting crucified. And then when the priest finally apostatizes at the end, Andrew Garfield's character, you see, like Groypwood George just said in the chat, he's like dead inside. Now he has no real meaning in life. It's just about him staying alive. And now he still is faithful, but he has to do that in privacy, living with that burden of sin the whole time that he knows that he like apostatizes faith, you know? So I see what you're saying, where like if you're saying like it tried to, but I don't think, I really don't see it as it was pushing an agenda, because when I saw it, that's not like what I got from it.
You got to understand Martin Scorsese's perspective on all this, because like writing a movie is a very personal thing, you know, like part of him comes out in the scripts. That's how it is with every director. And Martin Scorsese is a lapsed Catholic. That's what he is. I mean, he still calls himself Catholic, but he's divorced and remarried, which is, you can't do that. You know, you have to like you have to get an annulment now if you want to get remarried or something. But you can't be divorced and remarried, and that's what he is, you know? And he made The Last Temptation of Christ. He did all these blasphemous things in Hollywood. You know, he compromised on his faith to make success in Hollywood. And that's kind of what the priest does in the movie. And sure, maybe he's dead inside, and maybe like the character, I think it's Andrew Garfield's character. I don't remember his name. His father something, I think. But maybe the character's like reflective of what he's feeling, like he's dead inside now that he's betrayed our Lord. But I mean, it is a beautiful thing that at the end, like he returns to the faith and he's holding the cross or whatever he's holding. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But it's like the way I saw it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You can disagree with my interpretation, but the way I saw it is it was kind of saying that like you can abandon Jesus for temporal gain as long as you repent of it later. You know, it's sort of glorified the sin of presumption to me. You know, and I don't think that's a good message that people should be taking away from a film.
I do agree.
That's just my own opinion, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of different perspectives. I see where you're coming from or whatever, but I'm not looking at it as like, oh, well, Martin Scorsese met this, so he must have an agenda or something. I'm just going by what I got from it, I guess, you know? So, but I understand everybody has different views and opinions. Like, it's kind of like Black Pilled, right? Like, you know, you remember that Devin Stack, he used to make those like dissection videos of like movies and stuff like that or whatever. And he like made me look at a lot of like my favorite movies in a different light of like the agenda that they were pushing and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, Devin Stack is totally fallen off or whatever. But he did used to make a lot of good videos about that. And I would look at like my favorite movies like Forrest Gump and be like, oh, wow, that's actually promoting nihilism and stuff like that or whatever. And, you know, maybe there was a nefarious agenda or whatever, but like, also there's a point where it's like, well, I was just watching it for an entertainment value. That's not the effect it had on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I understand the subversive nature.
Well, you can take good things from bad things too.
Yeah.
Like the one of the big themes of Star Wars is like rebellion against imperialism or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it turns out to be rebellion against authority. But also you like in the prequels you can see an analogy for the Protestant Reformation or something like that. I mean, I was watching the you know, Wendigoon. I was watching his like Star Wars iceberg thing, and he was like, Star Wars is actually an analogy for the Protestant Reformation. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Anakin's like Martin Luther, can't control his passions, falls away from the faith, ruins everything. You know?
Yeah, I was actually watching Wending. How do you say his name?
Wendigoon.
I was watching Wendigoon's conspiracy iceberg or whatever, and I thought it was going to be cucked, and it's actually not bad. He's not even like giving his own opinion. He's just explaining what each conspiracy is or whatever, and like there was even some stuff that I didn't even know about or whatever. So far, the two videos I've watched this JFK one, and I've watched a lot of the conspiracy one. I didn't finish it because it's like 9 hours, but so far all the content I've seen from him is really good. I'm really surprised that he's like still on YouTube. I don't know what his other views are or whatever, but so far he seems like one of the best YouTubers out there.
Yeah, he's a pretty balanced guy. You know, like he I don't think he believes some of the like more schizo conspiracies or something where it's like on the iceberg when you get far enough down, it's like basically Hinduism where it's like there's chakras inside of your head and like you need to worship yourself to become one with the earth, and then there's a soul bank or something like that stupid stuff. I don't think he believes it because you can tell he's always skeptical when he's saying like the weird ones. But isn't he like a Sunday school teacher or something?
I think you told me that. I don't know. I don't know what he
Well, I heard it from a friend who watches Wendigoon, so I don't know.
Maybe.
I haven't watched enough of his stuff, but I've seen the conspiracy iceberg video and I've seen the Star Wars one.
Oh,
but like he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what his political views are, but like it's just an interesting guy to watch.
I feel like it's very rare for somebody who's like into conspiracies like to not at least be like boomer tier conservative. I don't feel like there's like a lot of like liberals that are conspiratorial minded. I feel like they're just complete like shills for the government basically. And that's basically
well, unless they're like those CIA assets who only care about aliens and like LSD. Yeah. And like not the real conspiracies, you know.
Actually, there's a conspiracy that I've heard a lot that I actually don't believe in at all. I think it's retarded, but I want to know what you guys think of it. The whole idea that like we're living in a simulation and it's possible that like computers got so advanced that the virtual reality was able to be plugged into our head, and it's kind of like the Matrix or whatever, and we would never be able to know. I just think that's really stupid. What do you guys think about that?
Well, okay, so there's a principle called Occam's razor, where if you have to make more assumptions, then like when in believing something, the thing that requires the most assumptions is probably untrue. So for you to believe that, you have to be believing that like everything you know is fake, which is the biggest assumption you can possibly make, you know? And so it's not likely to be reasonable.
some of these same people will then, turn around and laugh because, like, you worship Sky Daddy. Like, these are the same people.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
like-
There's a
literally.
lot of like atheists that believe in like aliens and the simulation theory and stuff like that, but they think believing in God is so insane. It's really ironic.
Yeah, and like, what
And I
evidence do
saw a
they have for
meme
this
that was on
simulation theory?
TikTok.
Like,
That was literally saying, well, okay, I was trying to get this out the first time. Okay, so basically what I was saying is I saw a meme and it was literally TikTok. It was like atheists atheists denying God, but atheists believing the simulation theory when the immaterial was revealed to us 2 millennia ago.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like, oh, they found a drop of water in this a billion mile away planet or whatever. We found life or whatever, and they're doing the Poggers face or whatever, like, oh, we found life on another planet, and then they show like a 9-month pregnant lady, and they're like, no, that's not life. That's not a human yet.
I think
Yeah,
aliens
like-
I honestly think aliens are fake.
They are fake. Because
I'm in that. They are.
They are.
They're fake.
aliens are fake. If they're gonna do it, it's either going to be demons, which I don't think, or it's gonna be Project Bluebeam. People don't like know about Project Bluebeam. It's like a real thing. Like they've been experimenting with projections and holograms or whatever, and they're probably going to like. I wouldn't put it past them to fake like a cataclysmic event, like an alien invasion or something like that.
No, the terrifying thing is sonic warfare. There were like 2 like Cuban ambassadors or something in Havana, and they were at a hotel, and apparently they were getting like brain damage because there was some like CIA sonic warfare program going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's terrifying, and you can't. There's no way to detect it with any sort of scanners we have, but it can like mess with your brain. Also, I think the CIA has like a 2mm heart attack gun where you can't even tell that the person's been hit.
I was just gonna mention that, bro. Like in like the 1970s or something like that, they had a public hearing where the CIA had to come in and talk about their heart attack gun that they used for assassinations of like world leaders. Like that's real. They've literally admitted that. And like I don't get people like that. Like there's so much like Project Mockingbird and Operation Northwoods and stuff like that. Like all this stuff that has been like validated and verified by like the CIA themselves, and people will be like, yeah, but that was back then. They're totally cool now. Like now it's completely fine. Like why are they still in operation? It's insane.
I was talking to a friend about this, and he's like 15 IQ, believes every CIA narrative. I love him. Okay, I'm not going to name him, but I love the guy. But he's like retarded. Okay, he's like, why would the government ever lie to us? And I'm like, did you take history class? The government lied about the USS Maine. The government faked the Boston Tea Party. The government's faked a bunch of things in the past, and like everyone knows that they faked it. Google Operation Northwoods. That one's declassified, where they were faking a false flag attack. They were gonna have Cuban people like dress up like terrorists and attack the U.S. so they could justify invading Cuba. Like the CIA has done a bunch of shady stuff. The U.S. government's always been doing shady stuff, and like you believe that they would never lie to you ever. Why would they tell you the truth? Under what obligation do they like? Are like nobody's above the CIA. Nobody elects the CIA. They have no obligation to tell you the truth.
Papal or Papal, I don't know, whatever. One of those. Papal Groiper with a super chat says Among Us. So true. So true. Thank you for the super chat.
Among Us? Let's go. Clip it. Let's go.
Among Us.
But Jimmy,
Among Us?
But Jimmy, I can how do you call it? Continue what you said. My best friend is kind of the same way. He's like, dude, I hear you. Some feds were involved, but he's like, I don't think the feds are involved in a lot of things. I'm like, you're not that bright, aren't you? They're involved in a lot of things. He just doesn't get it.
People don't like to hear scary things like that,
No, they just want to.
Scary because nobody elects the CIA. The CIA is not accountable to everyone. We're supposed to be like this democracy.
Do you guys do you guys know about like the theory that there was a couple books about it, where basically what they did was they drugged Marilyn. Or is it Marilyn Manson? No. Is it Charles Manson? Charles Manson? No, Charles Manson. That Charles Manson was actually, and there's a lot of evidence to this. Like Charles Manson and the Manson like family, right? Charles Manson was like drugged, but more like specifically the Manson family was a CIA like operation to go kill that actress.
Okay,
they basically
a big thing with all these serial killers. all these serial killers in the 60s and
Yeah.
70s came out of California, and that's when the CIA was doing LSD
Yeah,
and
and-
MK Ultra
and-
Ted
experiments in
Kaczynski,
California.
Ted Kaczynski was literally part of MK Ultra. Like they lit like that's like a confirmed thing. They set up a program at his college, right, for like gifted students or whatever, and he went to this program thinking he was going to get like a scholarship or be part of like this big operation or whatever, and they literally like drugged him and like forced him to watch like disturbing images and like played sound clips of like abusive stuff or whatever to try to see how his mind would react, and like tried to gaslight him on a bunch of stuff, and like it was part of MK Ultra. Like that's like a confirmed thing. It's insane.
Yeah. Charles Manson got so the whole Manson family was basically Charles Manson was handled by a CIA operative, and the CIA operative would basically feed him information, and he would basically give them a bunch of LSD, and then they were like high off the goop. They had so much LSD, and it's like, where are they getting all that LSD from? They're getting it from like CIA agents in the government who are able to acquire the LSD. And
same thing with the crack thing too. I'm pretty sure the CIA like put crack in like in cities or something too, and like they were the ones distributing it.
I'm pretty sure that was under Reagan. I'm pretty sure that was under Reagan too.
Yeah, that was under. It was part of the. It was the whole Iran Contra thing where they were like selling crack so they could fund the Iranian military or something. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while since I
love my
schizo, but
freaking you know what's weird though? I kind of have contention with that because I feel like a lot of like black liberals will be like, they put it in black neighborhoods, blah blah blah. I'm like, I mean, you guys picked it up. I mean, you guys didn't stop.
They didn't force the pipe in your mouth. But no, look.
Yeah, you didn't have a father figure.
Part of it is true, though. Look at black people before 1960, 70, and black people. I mean, like you can say like IQ or whatever.
Since the civil
but black
rights,
they
people
didn't have a
were, like,
father figure.
They
to
were
stop
better
them.
dressed. Look at Malcolm X. Look at Martin Luther King. These guys were
Real.
like well dressed, well spoken, articulate people from stable families. The divorce rate just skyrocketed.
Malcolm X actually
Martin Luther King was also a raging anti-white socialist who raped
Hold on.
What? No, I'm not saying he was a good guy. I'm saying like you look at them and you can get a fraction of what black culture was like back then. It was not the same way it was.
First of all, MLK should not even be compared to Malcolm X. Malcolm X, besides being a Muslim, he was completely authentic and based on a lot of things, and that's why they killed him.
Yes.
Right. MLK was a complete communist. Complete communist shill and basically a CIA asset, honestly. He was just well-spoken. He didn't write any of his speeches. He had a Jewish handler. I forgot his name at the moment. I actually made a video about this. I forgot the guy that wrote all of his speeches.
And there's actually a picture of Martin Luther King present at a U.S. socialist meeting to train speakers.
Stanley Levison
in socialist dog whistles.
Yeah, he went to a communist like group, MLK or whatever. He was a blasphemer too. He said that the Virgin Mary wasn't a virgin and stuff like that. He was horrible. All right, Malcolm
Protestant minister. Yeah. What do you expect? He was also a sex offender.
Yeah, well,
and Malcolm.
But anyway, but what you were saying about black people, yeah, prior to the civil rights movement, right? Like, okay, sure, there was some like abuses and whatever. Okay, but like if you look at like the black community before the civil rights movement to now, the fatherless rate is up to like 73%. Illiteracy rate is up. Crime has skyrocketed. They have zero standards. Just look at the culture with the degenerate rap and all this gangster nonsense or whatever. Before that, they were attending church. They had stable families or whatever. They were more employment and stuff like that. I mean, you can say like the government definitely did some messed up stuff, I guess, that specifically targeted blacks or whatever, like the crack stuff and I guess like the ghetto things. But the ghetto things I don't think is fully can be blamed on the government too, because they were trying to give affordable housing to black people and it just turned into like criminals, right? And I guess you could blame that on the crack, but once again, nobody forced them to smoke the crack.
Yeah, so what I was saying was like I wasn't bringing up Martin Luther King. I wasn't bringing up Martin Luther King to be like, oh, this guy was based or anything. I'm just saying, you look at black people before the 60s, black people were better articulate. Like, look at black names, okay? Nivas before the 60s were named like Stokely and John. Nivas now are named Jaquavius and like Jamarcus and
Quindarius
stuff. It's like not even comparable. You know, like of course there are cultural aspects of black culture that have always been bad, and like you can say things about the IQ and like there's differences between groups of people, but a big part of it is modern CIA stuff. You know, The CIA has not been good to any group of people. Look at white people. The way white people speak too has also gone down. I don't deny that either. I'm pretty sure the IQ's dropped since the 60s.
You know what?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just saying, look, we can track this all the way back. We can track this all the way back to the War of Northern Aggression. Now, if most of you didn't know, Jeff Davison, he was a Roman Catholic. He was the first Roman Catholic leader in the United States to openly say he was Catholic. You can go to the Jeff Davis Museum. They have his scapular miraculous medal, Benedict medal, Dewey Rams Bible, and a crown of thorns that was gifted to him by the Pope. Now we go back to the War of Northern Aggression because it wasn't slavery. It was to compromise the South because I mean where do Negroes congregate the most? They congregate in the South because what were they liberating the African from? Their daily bread, hard work, a place to stay, the honor of their fruits of their labor.
I just realized
what was the Northerner even doing? Abraham Lincoln was a Mason, and not to mention a blasphemer, also an atheist.
Yeah, the Civil War, the whole narrative that was about slavery and ending slavery is complete nonsense. It was about state rights and about the North raping the South with taxes and stuff like that, and the fact that they weren't staying to their main course, where the Union was basically supposed to be an experiment to see if it worked out, and they were supposed to every state was supposed to have the right to leave the Union at will if they wanted, and they just weren't allowing them to leave the Union, and instead of allowing the separation, they basically just killed 100,000 of their own people. There's a book I read. It's called "It Wasn't About Slavery," and it goes over all the actual reasons that turned into the Civil War. It was not about slavery. That wasn't even in the top 5 things that it was about. All right, there was first of all, what's his name? Robert E. Lee. He was an abolitionist. He was against slavery. All right, and he led the South, but he didn't want the centralized federal government to dictate what laws can and can't be in states that were supposed to be sovereign. Right? It wasn't that he was pro-slavery or anything like that, but he knew that if you just all of a sudden pass this drastic law where people are making the most money from or whatever, that it's going to cause a bunch of other conflicts, which it did, so yeah, the whole
I mean, even for myself, I'm a descendant of Confederates, but not the Confederates you think. The Santos Benavides guys, an all Mexican cavalry unit.
Oh wow.
So I have firsthand, what's it called, but yeah, I mean, if we're still on the topic of the Negro species, I say this goes all the way back to the Civil War.
Base?
All right.
No, that's base. That's base. I'm the resident black man, and I say that's base.
No,
I am the resident Uncle Tom.
We don't use that language here. Don't talk like that. All right.
Yeah, let's not talk like that.
Okay, no.
But I
I'm the resident
But the
Uncle Tom.
Confederacy. All right, back to the Confederacy though. The Confederacy had Native American units. They had allies with the 5 civilized tribes of Oklahoma.
The Cherokee and the Choctaw Braves.
Yeah, and also, I mean, they weren't pure Native American too. A lot of them were half Native American, half black too. So it's not like the Confederacy were a bunch of we just hate these people because we're black. It was an economic system. I don't think it was a good system, but it was an economic system that existed in the South. And that was just part of their culture.
It would have been phased out in the next 4 years. I mean, the Industrial Revolution was a couple years away?
I think I heard at one point, I'm pretty sure that slaves back then, they live about as well as minimum wage workers do today. Or something
Also, an add-on Spexel to that, to the South, they were very friendly to Catholics too.
Yes, I said Jeff Davis, openly Catholic.
Oh, that's his name, Jeff Davis.
And who was it?
Jefferson Davidson, the president of the Confederacy, was openly Catholic.
I don't know if he was Catholic.
I actually know the history behind this. He was not Catholic. However, he was Episcopalian and almost converted when he was a teenager. However, even though he didn't convert, he always remained very, very amicable and friendly to Catholics and did write correspondence with Pope Pius IX. Now, the crown of thorns, I think, was actually made by his wife, but the picture shadow box that he received of Pope Pius IX was from the Pope.
Isn't it amicable? How'd you say it?
Amicable.
Amicable.
Amiable.
You said it.
Amicable.
What did you say? How did you say it? That's a papacy moment.
Amicable, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Potatoes.
It's one of those words.
To be fair,
But I'm just saying
you say
this
Jeff.
goes back to the War of Northern Aggression. I'm just saying, maybe if the Confederacy won, or if the Confederacy was left to its own devices, we wouldn't have the situation we have now with the current degeneration of the races. I mean, from white to black, even amongst my Hispanic brethren, I mean, I look at them, he's like, what are you? What are you? It's the Yankee, it's Yankeeism, basically. The idea they strip you of your identity, they make you this copy-paste factory worker. Oh, you're not a Hispanic, you're a Latinx, you're not a black, you're an Afro-Indigenous, Hispanic, Latin. You mix them together and you get a pot of Masonic garbage that exists solely to reproduce and give stag workers.
White is just the colloquial term for pan-Europeanism now. You know, like obviously, there's been a drastic strip of identity. I wouldn't say it was the Civil War necessarily that did that. I don't think that it would have helped. I think that obviously, I think both sides sucked because neither were fighting for a Catholic monarchy. But obviously, the Confederacy had the moral high ground in the war, and I think that at the very least, if the Confederacy won, there would have been at least a theoretical possibility of like an all-Catholic sovereign state in America, right? If every state.
Bro, what did I just walk
like
into?
What Bishop Williamson talks about.
Oh my goodness!
Here we go, man. Here we go.
Do not talk. I'm going to make my point. I'm going to make my point.
All right, one at a time.
I am going to make my point before Off speaks.
All right, I'm starting to mute people. All right, Jimmy, go first, and then we'll deal with Ox.
What? No, someone else go first. Who was talking?
Wait, what? No, I thought you were talking.
I was just going to say, I really want to make my point because this is kind of like, this is unrelated to Off. I just wanted to say it before Off kind of like starts going off. But like, my point was like talking about, I'm talking, but I'm talking about like, well, it's not a wig net, but anyway, I'm talking about like, you know how, well, okay, you know how you're talking about how blacks were a lot more, what's it called, articulate, like, you know, even look at Cassius Clay, you know him as what was his name? The boxer, Muhammad Ali. Yeah, he was really, and you know the funny thing is he was like Malcolm X too. He was like he knew the understanding of solidarity of race, like how it's the strongest bond. Like, you know, and he said he loved his people too. He said, you know, it's not hating another family if you love your own family. If I want to marry a beautiful black woman, you should have every right to. But, you know, need to have black children. Same with like white. If the white man wanted to have white children, you know, with his wife, you know, and it's like listening to the way he speaks. Yeah, like listening to the way he speaks, or even to the way he speaks about other things. He does not stutter. He doesn't like trip up on his words. He's very articulate. Like just thinking about how he speaks, you know. Yeah, and it's sad. That's a lot.
That's honestly that transcends even just like black people though. Like if you listen to people like talk shows and game shows of like the 1950s and 60s, people spoke extremely articulate, proper English or whatever. Now everything is just like slang. We want to use like basically how we text with like shortening words and sentences and stuff. It's like it's really bad. But go on, Jimmy, your turn.
Yo, what's up?
Spaxy, I'm gonna let you finish, but on that, Oth is here.
I know. Right, so
the king of Ebonics.
All right, let's deal with Ox and then call it a night.
Oh my
goodness! This is gonna drain me of all the energy I have left.
Bishop Williams.
Hold on. I would like to dispel a few rumors. No, I am not drunk. I don't know which one of you guys had to run off with the fact that I was quote unquote drunk. I am not lightweight.
Hold on, before you continue, I'm just going to give you this singular warning: do not use vulgarity. Do not say racial slurs. Do not
mention the Cuban.
Do not mention the Cuban.
Yo, can you stop? Can you stop? I moved on.
All right, listen. If you, we're just giving you a heads up warning. If you do that, as soon as you say any of those things or whatever, I'm removing you. Okay, so go on.
Fair enough. Listen, members of the chat, members of the VC, members of the Senate, I would like to say that, look, listen, I sincerely apologize for cursing. Respectfully, Bird took it a little bit too hard. He takes it way too seriously, with all due respect. I already apologized to him. It's not my fault he decided to be a little
That's
Bleed
not
it word.
my
About
Get
it.
him out of
What's
here.
the language?
I didn't
Get him
say.
out.
I did not say. I did
Get
not
him
say. I
out.
did not say. I did not say. I
To
did
be
not say. I
fair,
did
I
not say
think I
that.
almost said.
Second, give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a
second.
second. Let me exercise my minor clerical skills. Indulgentiam absolution remissione peccatorum vostrorum. All right, I just got rid of your venial sins. Get the hell out of here.
All right. I
What?
don't know
Bruh.
what is going on right now.
Base?
What are
the
you?
heck?
What the?
I know.
Bro,
What
what
the?
All right.
What
Oth,
the-
all right.
All right,
So
I
wait.
feel like
So
you're capping. He's salmon.
Oth, what is the contention going on? You got removed from my chat, I guess, because you've been blowing up my DMs nonstop, and I have not been paying attention to my chat, so I don't know what happened.
Spexy, help me
No, no,
out,
no.
bro.
Okay, Spexo, General, Admiral, whatever title you prefer. I cursed. I cursed, and I said the Lord's name in vain. Bird got offended, rightfully so, even though he took it a little bit too hard. And I apologized numerous times, not only to General Bird and the other generals of the chat. And
All right.
that's really just it,
Listen,
honestly.
let me explain, right? So I'm leaving it up to the moderators because, like I said, I'm not paying attention to my chat 24/7. I'm deferring to Jimmy Aiken and Pine Sap. If they want to let you in one more time and give you another chance, that's fine. I have a soft spot for you because I've known you for years now, right? And you come in and you constantly have to be warned, and you break the rules, and you post messages and then delete them right away and think that we can't see them. We see every message that you delete, okay? And you constantly do this thing, and we constantly tell you stop. We've given you numerous chances. There are over 1,000 people blocked in my chat. They come in there and they say the most like even tame stuff, and they just, if they annoy me, I ban them or whatever. I've gotten a little bit better with that, but like I block people for very like minuscule reasons, right? We have given you numerous chances. Nobody in the history of my chat that I've been running for the last year and a half or whatever it is has gotten as many chances as you. So you keep doing the same thing, and then you get blocked, and then you start DMing me and Jimmy and Pine Sap over and over again, right? So you got to get to a point where you got to stop. You know what I'm saying?
So, Oth, I don't even have a problem. Like, taking the Lord's name in vain. Like, I'm gonna delete it when you do that. You shouldn't do. I'll probably give
I
you a
know.
warning next
I
time.
already
when you do
apologized
that.
to Bird. It's not my fault. He
Well,
decided.
yeah, but you do it a lot, bro. You do it.
Don't
a lot,
say it's not my
still.
fault. Did he
But
took it wrong? Don't make
I don't have a
excuses.
problem.
Stop.
I don't have a problem with you using the F word. Like, I'll just delete it. I don't care. I'm not gonna ban you.
Jimmy, I know it's not a. I know it's not an excuse, but it's where I'm
the
from,
thing is,
bro.
every time I tell you to like stop smoking weed, and like you're like, okay, I don't smoke weed. I just cipher the boys. You can't do that, okay? Every time you cope with your sins, it pisses people off, you know. And it's
Christ,
like,
I come to you as a member of the clergy. Habitual sin, even as small as it may be, it will lead to mortal sin, and it will send you into a very, very dark path. I mean, as someone,
Real
I
quick,
get it.
I just want to say, Spexo and Pine Sap, I love you guys' work that you guys do on the YouTube. It's amazing.
Hold on. Let Max speak. Let
Hold on. No, this guy
Max
just
speak.
hold on 1 second. This guy just
you have no authority here.
Stop. Franco is talking. I'm gonna bring him on screen. Let's go, Franco. What's up?
Franco's awesome.
Oh, you know him?
Hey man, what's up?
Epic.
See him?
I'm right here. I don't know how to position my camera real quick.
I like the Vatican flag behind you, by the way. I like
Yes,
that.
sir.
I like
Of
that.
course. What other flag am I supposed to have behind me?
Exactly.
I mean, I have that
Where's
one
mine?
too,
Hold on.
but you know.
Cringe.
I just want to make sure I don't have anything doxing. Look, all right. So I got my Catholic, my Vatican flag, my what is that? That's like the Templar flag or something.
Yeah.
That's sick.
My AF flag over there. I don't know if you guys can see that.
That is sick, dog. Yo,
Pine Sap will show you his 10 flags, yeah.
Let's go. Oh, what did you say, Franco?
You got any flags in your room?
So I'm in my basement right now. I'm not in my room. But in my room I have the Sacred Heart flag, the Vatican flag, a bunch of Spanish Civil War flags. I'm trying to think. I'm like a flag collector, man.
Didn't you have Pine Sap the Romanian Guard flag?
Yeah, I got that one.
Flags. Hold up. Let me kick out my brothers out of my room.
That's funny. That's cool. No, Pine Sap, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming into the live stream that I did earlier today, and like talking to gassing me up on the song, man. I really appreciate that, my guy.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know if you got Spexo into the song, but it's a Catholic song. So we were making moves.
Yeah, dude, I get Spexo. I gotta send you Franco's song. It's pretty good, and like the music video that he came out for it was really, really awesome.
What kind of music?
It's like a mix of like pop and somewhat house. Like this recent song was a pretty like took it on a slow route. It's a little tiny bit of synth. If you like pop music in general, you're probably gonna like it.
Yo, let's go. Let's make a collab. Yo, send me a beat. I'll drop a verse. Let's do it.
That'd be sick.
Send me a beat. I'll make it goofy.
Catholic rap group.
Send me a beat and make sure it's
We
goofy.
were like 5 minutes ago. We were talking about the Confederacy. What happened here?
Our rap group has to be called Young YUNG Earth ERF Creationists, but with a K.
Based. Yeah. Just Max, I'm guessing that you're newer here because you obviously didn't know the rules before, and you're probably confused at how the topics are just changing so quickly, but that's just basically how it goes. When we do the open chat, like random people come in, they just say whatever they want and just talk.
Hey, well now we're talking about Catholic music, so like that's pretty based. Yeah. That's a pretty good one. You know?
I guess.
Yeah.
God's
I mean,
plan.
Like,
God's
we don't
plan.
really like Catholic music nowadays, do we?
What you say?
Yeah, like there isn't like much like Catholic music in the culture nowadays. Like, would you say, or
it's all Protestant nonsense?
Wait, Franco, do you know Enoch? Do you know
Enoch the rapper.
Enoch's awesome, dude.
Is that the one that Michael Lofton did a verse on or something?
Yeah. He does Michael Lofton's openings. Actually, he's awesome, dude.
Oh, you're watching Reason and Theology, where we discuss.
Oh yeah.
I've hit up his DMs. He hasn't gotten back to me, but I'm hoping to get his attention with the music video now. So, you know, I'm hoping to see if maybe we can make some moves there. That'd be pretty sick. So,
you gotta send it to me. Oh, you know what?
Wait, do you want me to contact? Wait, Franco, do you want me to contact Elijah Yassi? Because Elijah is good friends with Enoch.
Hold on, let's play this. What is it? I'll play it right now on stream. What is your song?
It's called "I Love You Eternally."
I Love You Eternally.
Yeah, by Franco.
Is it about me?
I searched up "I Love You Eternally."
Hey,
Franco.
Hey, Spexo.
What? All right.
Hey, Spexo. Isn't there a setting you can change in the Telegram chat where you could put it, just like if we want to speak, we have to do like press to speak.
Yeah, that's.
Can you like do that for
my main channel? Hold on. Let me play this real quick.
Okay.
Hold on.
I was just asking about that.
Bruh, Spexy, I'm gonna head out. I gotta go to confessional moment.
Right,
it's been great, guys.
All right, everybody.
God
bless. Everybody, try to be quiet. We'll play this.
If Rob annoys me again, I'm gonna ban him.
All right,
but
we'll play this.
That's just me exercising my ultramontane authority.
Spexo, man, say something.
Hold on,
Admiral.
I want to play this song. What do you have to say?
Oh, play the song first, then, Admiral.
All right, it's gonna be on my stream. I don't think you can hear it. Right. Everybody, try to be quiet for the next 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Okay. All right.
Short time.
High production quality.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Well, this is stock footage right now. Then we get into the production quality. So I hope you like it after.
Your love
epic. That was super well edited and put together.
Let's go.
I didn't understand some of the words that were going on, but the story. Wait, is the girl supposed to be dead, or is like that supposed to be like you loved her and then she broke up with you? Oh, she's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better.
She's dead.
Is that like a real girl, or is that a?
No, that was some stock image. That was some stock image.
That's awesome. Because I was like, wait, is he like simping? He wants to kill himself over a girl that broke up with him, and then I realized, no, it probably makes sense that she's dead.
No. So the story pretty much more clarified is there's a husband loses his wife to whatever accident, like his wife dies, and he's miserable with reality until he finds peace with reality through the Catholic Church. So that's pretty much the synopsis.
Yeah, that was really well edited. I couldn't. I mean, like I knew because you told me it was stock footage or whatever, but then when it went to you, the quality was still very well. It was super well directed. The cinematography, I'm like into that stuff, like with directing and stuff like that. Like like the editing, especially when you were about to jump and then you had like the cut of the devil's finger telling you come or whatever. That was really cool. Was that a real priest or just somebody like in a priest costume?
That was my buddy that goes to church with me. But I asked my priest though, the priest the church that I go to regularly, if I could borrow one of his clerical shirts, and he let me borrow it. So
really, that's mad funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm shooting this video about a guy who wants to kill himself and then like finds Catholicism. Can I borrow your priest costume?
Well, I told him the same synopsis I told you, and he was pretty much cool with it. So like originally I was asking another church, but that I didn't go to very well. But I like that I had like already planned out the imagery for like that certain church. I didn't plan to shoot at the church that I usually go to, but then I was like, oh. Like it's like they rejected me at the other one because like the father, like the priest was like, well, I don't know, I was praying about it. I don't know if I don't think I'd be comfortable with like a music video being shot there. But I talked to Father etc., the guy that at the other church, and he was like, yeah, they're pretty chill. They think it'd be better if we shot the music video there. So that's where we ended up shooting it, and it's still a beautiful church. I mean, you saw all the dormants and stuff like that. I was gonna put in some other stuff there, but I was trying to keep it all concise because it's pretty jam packed. I mean, I'm sure you saw like all the scenes and they're pretty jam packed. So that's we got it done. We got it glued in all together. Awesome. So I'll take it as a win.
Very impressive. Yeah, bro. I'm down to. I'll definitely collab. If you want to send me something, I'll make a verse, come up with a concept. I'll do a verse. I'll upload it, stream it on my cozy thing, get you some followers and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be epic, dude. That'd be epic. Yeah, for sure. So I'm currently in the midst. I don't know if you check out my YouTube channel, you will see that one of like the video that I've highlighted in my homepage is that like me talking about why I deleted 70% of my music. Just to sum it up, if you can watch the video if you want, but like summed up, I was making music that was sinful, and when I came back to the faith after a couple months after coming back to the faith, I pretty much decided like, I got to take down this music. I don't want to lead people to sin. So I'm currently in the midst of remaking all of those songs, but with actually based, Christian lyrics, Catholic lyrics.
No, that's literally what I did, bro. I spent like 2 years making like a mixtape. I had 17 songs. I had a full like album length of songs that I made, produced, and everything like that or whatever, right? And like once I was finished, that was when I started coming into like the faith and stuff like that. And I was like, I uploaded it once to my YouTube channel, and then I was listening to it after I uploaded it, and I was like, I can't be like promoting this stuff anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? I still I think like a lot of my songs were like still good. I sent them in my chat and people liked them and stuff like that. But it's like, if I'm trying to be Catholic and I'm trying to do this stuff, I can't like be putting this stuff out there that has all this profanity and like all this degenerate stuff, So
yeah. Straight up, yeah, like totally relate, dude. I totally relate. So yeah, that's essentially what I had to, I'm now in the progress of like having to remake all those songs. But after that, or maybe if I decide to come out with a song in the middle of that, definitely hitting you up. I'm definitely hitting you up. But until then, I will be the Catholic consecration is still up and running. I can assure you of that. Though.
Awesome.
So you're all good. We're all good. But yeah, all right. Well, I'm gonna get going. I just want to say hi. Thank you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job with the show. I really appreciate it. So,
all right, bro.
Yeah,
God
bless you. I remember you from Hawk also. I remember you from Hawk as well. So yeah, you did some cool stuff for Hawk too. I remember when I was in there during John Doyle's server. So 07s.
Yeah. 07. Bye bye.
Love you. Frank is awesome, man.
Yo, Spexel.
Yes,
Look, Spexel.
Hey.
To the other members of your chat, to all To all Spexal High Command members here, I sincerely apologize for cursing and saying the Lord's name in vain.
Dude, all right. Yo, Jimmy said that Jimmy said that he's gonna unban you in the morning. All right, and like, I don't know what to say.
I'm literally here.
What?
Gentlemen, we're holding an ecumenical council now.
Okay.
We're holding this is the ecumenical council Logos Triumphant. Abba Spexo has the floor. Abba Spexo, what do you say?
Well, I say, like I said, I will grant this authority of the situation regarding banning auth access on this date of July 30th, 2022. I hereby solemnly declare that if auth is banned again by one of the mods, that he should report to Jimmy Aiken or PineSap to allow them to make the final decision. That I am putting it out of my hands. And if you get banned again, don't keep DMing me because I am not paying attention to my chat. I've been playing Pokey MMO, all right? That's what I've been doing lately. I am not looking at my chat.
Bro, PineSap never checks DMs.
Objection.
Jimmy does.
That's because I'm on like 5 different apps and I'm on my phone all day.
Bro.
You're terminating online. You're just terminally online.
He's too online to answer his DMs.
Oh, Spexo.
Legitimately, I am going to start taking a little bit more of a break and focusing on my prayer life. Not that I won't be posting and, of course, doing this show, but just more I won't be posting as, like, consistently.
Yeah, like, who's playing the guitar, dude?
Oh, sorry, am I on music?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're all right. Hey, Spexo, I wanted to ask you, when you were at Stop the Steal last year or, like, January, how many crucifixes or, like, Orthodox crosses did you see at the rally?
That was in.
Because I heard there was quite a bit.
Yeah, that was in November of 2020. There was the AF crowd. It was weird because it wasn't like all AF people that were surrounding Nick, because Nick got like on the thing and like a bunch of people who probably didn't even know him were also surrounding him to watch him and stuff like that, because it was just like somebody speaking or whatever. But there was a lot of crosses, a lot of Bibles and stuff. There was like this crazy Protestant preacher there too. That was pretty funny. He was like talking about like, I guess Revelation and like the end days and stuff like that, like holding a Bible and a sign and stuff. Yeah,
talking about the rapture and stuff.
Freaking prots. Everyone knows that Protestants should be run off the bridge.
No, don't talk. You stop it. Stop that. We already talked to you about, crapping on prots when you do like degenerate stuff. Like, stop being a hypocrite.
Yeah, dude.
Enough of that.
All right.
Are you serious, Mike?
Go
in my defense.
A little bit easy, but hold on. Auth, he does have a point. You always like every time.
So it is better.
What?
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. I was going to say, look, it's better to be I forgot who said it. I know it was a father, but it said something like, it's better to be a bad Catholic than a perfect Protestant, because at least the bad Catholic has a chance in salvation, and the Protestant isn't even in the house of the Lord, or something like that.
Not if you're not. Yes, okay. You're technically baptized into the Catholic Church and you receive the sacraments. And PineSap will BTFL you too.
That quote is true. That quote is true, but that's not an excuse to be a bad Catholic. Okay,
I'm not a bad Catholic. I'm not a perfect Catholic, but I'm not a bad Catholic.
Dude, listen, I'm the worst sinner that's ever walked the earth. I can't judge you at auth. I can't hold you in contempt or something, or not that I'd want to, but like, we all have to be challenged to be better than yesterday. When we make excuses for ourselves and stuff like that, which I've done many times, I'm not perfect in that. But when we make excuses and stuff like that, it doesn't challenge us to be better. It doesn't challenge us to improve. How about instead of maybe making an excuse for a certain behavior we're engaging in or something, let's say, what can I improve? What can I give up? Because if we have affection for our sin, that means we have greater affection for our sin than we do for our Lord. And if we do that, then our whole journey is thrown off, We
have a message.
I want you to be in the kingdom of heaven, brother.
Facts. On to more pressing issues. Wurzelroot, and our chat is blowing up. It says, wiping your ass.
No way.
Wiping your ass is counter signaling Nick. So true. But honestly, I mean, this does have a theological purpose. I believe, in the terms of wiping, especially with running water. That's one of the good things about the Industrial Revolution we were talking about, right? It's like, why do you have to wipe your butt? Just go in the shower after you poop. There's no need. Hey. I think toilet paper is obsolete. We have running water.
Just use it. Just use a bidet. Bidets are based.
How many times do you shower a day?
Awesome.
Bro, what are we discussing?
Wait. How many
times are you pooping?
How many times do I poop a day? A lot.
Really? I think you have a diet problem then, or something. Like, you should have
no. No, if you are eating like a lot of if you eat a lot of food like me, I'm not fat by the way. I'm like a big guy, so I'm not trying to like brag. I'm just saying like, but if you like have like that like diet, like you poop at least 3 times a day.
I don't know. I like if I'm working, it depends when I'm working, right? So if I know that I'm working in the morning or whatever, right? When I get home, I poop and I go in the shower right after that, and then I don't poop until the next day. I literally only poop once a day, and sometimes not even that.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I do. Well, no, this is an important discussion. I do. No, it is
No.
true. It's true.
I mean, it's about health.
In the
morning,
morning,
about it, but
your
it's not. I'm not saying,
digestion's important. Your digestion.
I do once in the once in the morning after I chug water and I drink a little coffee. Then one in the morning, one after work, and then sometimes one at night.
Really? No,
sometimes.
Unless it's like a Taco Bell day, I rarely poop more than once.
Bro, we're really discussing pooping. Members of the Senate, please, may we discuss cleaner topics?
Let's get back to talking about auth access's soul and salvation or whatever.
So Pints. No.
Members of the Senate, order in the Senate. Order in the Senate.
Well, actually,
Pints.
well, no. I wanted to talk about something completely unrelated, but that's okay.
What? Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
I was just saying. Okay, something I want to start amongst us.
Among us.
And this is my autism acting up a little bit, so I'm like over here and you guys are over here. But like, can we just say how based like the like Greek unionists around the time of the Council of Florence are? Can we just say that, bro? Like those homies were like literally like battling like Eastern Orthodox like left and right just to be Catholic.
But the Eastern Orthodox wants to be like, you evil papists. You're so evil towards us.
Like John Bekos was like the Patriarch of Constantinople, and he literally was like deposed, condemned by a synod, and still said like, I need to be in union with the Pope. It's like he had like zero like financial interest or whatever to do so. He literally just did it because he loved the church. I'm like, this homie literally should be like song in the divine liturgy. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's sad because I see a lot of, but that's a serious discussion because on Instagram, a lot of ortho bros like to shit on Catholics being like, oh, you Croatians butchered Serbian Orthodox Christians in World War II. I'm like, so we're just going to ignore. So we're just going to ignore. Well,
Didn't happen.
I know.
I agree on that.
Wait,
no, but let me finish my point. No, sorry, Spexo, if you were going to say something, but then I say, so we're just going to ignore the Eastern Orthodox in Russia that literally joined the communists? Are we just going to ignore that?
How about the fact that Saint Peter, or sorry, not Saint Peter, Peter the Great, more like Peter the Horrible, literally like broke into a Basilian monk monastery and like killed all the monks, martyred all of them just to steal Saint Josaphat's relics because he hated Saint Josaphat so much.
Damn. I didn't know that was...
Can I get you on a question? I wanted to ask, like, if theoretically speaking, if all of Germany were to be excommunicated, all of those synodal way who pushed for a change in the catechism, would therefore there need to be like a group of bishops sent to Germany for supply jurisdiction?
Yes, there would be. It would be like the Arian crisis. And in that case, supply jurisdiction would be completely legitimate. Like I want to say Saint Eusebius, when he went into other dioceses to ordain bishops, like he was exercising his jurisdiction properly.
Now, do you think
my dad just peered in, so I probably got to get going, but go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think there would be some sort of confrontation between civil authorities were that to be the case, or do you think it would just be simply a kerfuffle insofar as the ecclesial body is concerned?
I mean, it could honestly be like a new culture conf, except for this time, like, unlike, Bismarck being, because Bismarck, relatively speaking, by cultural standards, was pretty conservative, you know what I mean? It would be like a liberal culture conf, right? So I'm sure, like, the liberal German government would throw their weight behind like the false schismatic or heretical schismatic synodal way and persecute good and true Catholics. Because like Bismarck, for instance, did not persecute like the old Catholics of Utrecht because they didn't threaten his power whatsoever. In fact, they used to try to call them the true Catholics, but he would persecute any of like the bishops that like attended and approved of Vatican I, including like Wilhelm von Kettler, who is really, he's like a hero to me. He, even though he wasn't in the ultramontanist group, when the definition was delivered, he readily accepted it and like suffered for the sake of Catholicism in Germany. Like he's a hero.
And talking about that, did Adam and Eve poop?
Actually, yeah, because I think they would. Actually, yeah, I think they would. I don't think that's a cause of the fall.
So, but if everything was perfect, food was made perfect, why would they need that? Like, I don't know.
And how sure are we about this poop thing?
I mean, just like a natural process. It's speculative. It's not like like they did or they didn't. But
oh lords, why are we discussing fecal
well,
matter?
now it's kind of now. I mean, it started off as ironic, but now I'm kind of curious because it's not. I guess it's not evil, right? It's not poop is not evil. It's just gross. But
no, it's
like,
not.
It's not evil. There's a book called "Did Adam and Eve Have Belly
pooped,
Buttons?" that I think should answer this. Actually,
what's the question of that? Did they have belly buttons?
No. Oh yeah, they did.
Why?
They did.
What's the theological?
Why?
They just put them there. I mean, they were just.
I don't think they did if they're made from clay.
Wait, but okay, hold on. Wait. Belly buttons are from the umbilical cord, right?
Right.
So,
but I think they were still formed with them, even though they didn't have that umbilical cord.
So that's where we learned where the point was to cut off, like, so we didn't have like a front tail of like umbilical cord, I guess.
I guess so. I mean,
well,
this is all
actually, no. Oh, actually, as a father, I know this actually because it's really disgusting when you have a baby, right? Which they don't tell you about. I was really grossed out when this first happened, and I realized this that when they cut the umbilical cord, there's still like a finger length of umbilical cord hanging off of the baby for a week, right? So, and it's disgusting. It turns black. It's gross, right? And I was like, what is this thing? Like, I was like changing my daughter's diaper and I was like, I didn't want to touch her belly button. It's so gross. But that eventually naturally falls off. So it's not like that's where they cut. So that's like the perfected form, I guess. Like, so even if you were still attached with the umbilical cord and you cut it like a 2-foot length or whatever, it would still naturally fall off that way.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Any last questions? I think I finally got to get going, but
I think
sorry. That's actually a good question. I want to look into that more. But
wait, do you think you can answer this question really quick? Somebody has it.
Yeah.
Just real quick. Can you address the allegation Peter was Bishop of Antioch and they had supremacy, not Rome?
That's total. No.
Okay.
There's a couple problems with it. I'll give an actual answer. I hear literally this charge all the time from like EO or Protestants. So Peter did establish Antioch. That's why in like the Petrine like ordering and stuff like that. I mean, as even Alan Rule said on our stream, like Antioch was a very prized church, and that's why Saint Gregory the Great in his letters talks about like the Petrine See being in 3 places. He's not literally talking about the power or supremacy being in 3 places. He's just talking about all of those 3 C's, Alexandria, Antioch, and Rome being Petrine because Peter had some hand in establishing them. Alexandria, he sent, I believe, St. Mark the Evangelist to go establish. Antioch, he established himself. But then he moved to Rome to be the seat of the Apostolic See. And we know that it's the Apostolic See based on what the fathers say, based on what the church councils say, such as like, for instance, like Philip the Papal Legate at like the Council of Ephesus and stuff like that. So we know that even though he established Antioch, it was not given that supremacy. Even St. Gregory Palamas talks about the Church of Rome being established, actually. It's kind of funny to bring up his sermon on the Feast of Saints Peter and Paul.
Based. All right. I think that's good. Good place to end. Great episode. I thought we weren't going to have enough time. We ended up doing almost a 4-hour episode, so that's good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Awesome. We are doing the next episode of Logos Triumphant will be Thursday, August 4th. We will have Classical Theist on to talk about metaphysics and stuff like that. That should be a fun stream. Maybe we'll do a Catholic hangout or something. We haven't done a Catholic hangout in a month. You believe that? We gotta try to do that.
It's crazy, man. We gotta do another.
All right, awesome. God bless everybody. Thanks for joining. See you later, Pine Sap. Bye, everybody. Have a great night.
All right, God bless.
And
Have a good night.